It's time for Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. For the next 3 hours, it's high school basketball from across the Mountain State. Live from Marshall University, here's your host, Ryan Epling.
It's the last official Friday night of the fall. The winter chill, though, is already in the air, and Basketball Friday Night is back with you here on the Fast Break Sports Network. Welcome into another Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, James Collier, Rick Marone with you, as we will be with you for the next 3 hours live on basketballnight.com or on your local Basketball Night affiliate on the radio stations throughout this great state of West Virginia on another Friday night full of basketball. And James Collier, after a week where we didn't have Coach Marone with us last week, he had the audacity to schedule a game for that Friday night. He is with us tonight.
Yeah, he's in studio. He comes bringing, he bears gifts coming in. This guy walks in with a pumpkin roll that I wasn't for sure if it was almost looked like a log. I wasn't for sure if he brought a piece of wood in. He was going to maybe make a campfire or something. He goes, I bring gifts. I said, it's a good thing. But, yeah, Coach Marone, welcome back, my friend.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's great to be back in studio, and I figured since I had left you guys hanging last week, I had to bring a peace offering. And granted, I about threw my back out carrying it up the stairs. It is a rather large pumpkin roll, but I have a feeling by the time the crew gets done with it, it won't quite be so hefty.
It won't be so heavy by the time you leave, I promise you that.
The problem is with the crew is that we're on set, and they're back behind the scenes. They do all the heavy work. We just kind of deliver the information that everybody is able. Sorry to disturb the magic of radio and television there. But they'll also have all the food eaten by the time we get there.
Well, yeah, that's usually the way it works is the pizza shows up as we get finished with the program. We're trying to roll up. We go in there, and there's like 2 pieces of a pepperoni and a crumb left. So maybe this week they'll remember to order the pizza. Marone dropped that. See, that's usually he's always the guy that's ordering the pizza, and we didn't get pizza last week. So.
We'll definitely work on that. But we know that you're here because you want to follow up on basketball in the Mountain State. What's going on across the state of West Virginia? This is the final Friday before Christmas, so some of the tournaments that would normally be over the Christmas holiday are kind of moved up to this week, so you can get your Friday, Saturday, two days worth of games in, as opposed to trying to play the day after Christmas next week. And there's some very good matchups across the state going on right now. Several games have already gone final from being played earlier today. The Hoops Classic going on in Charleston, and James, we'll let you lead us off with our first check of the scoreboard.
Your one-stop shop for everything across the Mountain State. Go to basketballnight.com/scoreboard for all your scores across the state of West Virginia. We start in boys AAA. At the half, number 2 South Charleston leads Oak Hill 37-20. That game being played at the Charleston Civic Center. Number 5 Wheeling Park gets past Riverside 55-51. Phil Bledsoe nets 24 points, grabs 19 rebounds in the winning effort. Josh Carpenter has 19 and Lawson pitched in 15 for the Warriors. Number 9 Parkersburg South defeats Brooke 68-41. At the end of the first quarter, Chavez out of Washington, D.C. currently leads number 10 Martinsburg 16-13. That's at the Jefferson Mixer. Final 4 minutes in Charleston with George Washington and St. Albans. It's the Patriots leading the Red Dragons 53-48. Jefferson easing past Broadfording Christian Academy 78-42. That game should have gone final by now. We'll check for a score as soon as we get it. We'll pass it along. Union Local over John Marshall 84-40. It was Nitro earlier today defeating Point Pleasant 69-50. Into the third, Winfield with an 11-point lead over Ripley 46-35. In the Liberty Raleigh tournament, at the end of 1, Shady Springs and Liberty Raleigh all squared at 8. In AA, it was number 4 Westside all over the Man Hillbillies 102-79. Independence knocks off Mountain View 95-74 in the Liberty Raleigh tournament. It was a 1-point win for Midland Trail as the Patriots take care of the Grizzlies out of Nicholas County 61-60. At the half, Van in the locker room leading by 5 over Riverview 34-29. Just going final, Richwood over Summers County 49-42. John Baird has 17. Matt Ryan with 19. In single A, Greater Beckley Christian knocks off Parkersburg Christian 82-43. It was Pendleton County over Buffalo 59-44. Meadow Bridge defeats Greenbrier West 49-35. The Blue Dons of Madonna easily pass Steubenville out of Ohio 63-49. Into the third, St. Mary's leads Williamstown by 1, 42-41. Let's go over to the girls' scoreboard. Earlier today, Parkersburg South down in Myrtle Beach knocks off Fayette County out of Georgia 54-50. Anna Heighton has 16 points, 7 rebounds. Taryn McCutcheon's 10 points, 6 assists, and knocks down 6 out of 6 free throws in the final 2 minutes to push the South Patriots to the win. Number 5, Spring Valley gets past George Washington 57-42. That game just going final. In AA, Fairmont Senior, no problem with Philip Barber 86-36. That game was 26-2 at the end of the first quarter. Number 5, Summers County serves justice once again, this time to the Clay County Panthers. 65-44. Brittany Justice and Whitney Justice, each with a double-double. Brittany with 22 points, 10 rebounds. Whitney 24 and 10 in the win. Number 6, Kaiser gets past Frankfort 62-56. That's in the Mineral Bowl girls basketball edition. East Fairmont by 5 over Robert C. Byrd 48-43. It was Petersburg knocking off Moorfield in the Petersburg tip-off 71-45. Moving into Class Single A, Sissonville behind Madison Jones 38 points up in the Charleston Civic Center. Knocks off number 4 Charleston Catholic 56-50. We'll be joined by Madison in the 11 o'clock hour. And one game to pass along, Tyler Consolidated and Wirt County. That was canceled due to the flu outbreak in Tyler County. That's a check of your scoreboard update at basketballnight.com.
If you were with us last week, that Parkersburg South Brook game, no, they don't play every Friday, but yes, they've played 2 consecutive Fridays. Last week they played at Brook, and tonight they played at the Charleston Civic Center Coliseum, if I'm not mistaken, earlier today. So those 2 programs getting familiar with each other early on, both in the same region. They got to go through each other if they want to get to Charleston for the state tournament come March. Parkersburg South beats them for the second time. It's another game that I want to mention that just going through the initial scores, Westside beating Man 102-79. That was a close game at halftime. Westside pulled away, but Westside had a big win earlier this week. They beat currently number 3 Bluefield. And again, the rankings that are out are still just from the preseason polls, but Westside beat Bluefield by 30 earlier this week in boys basketball. And in girls basketball, Bluefield beat Westside by 20. Those are somewhat reversed from, I think, how many people would have saw those 2 going last year when Westside won the girls' AA state championship and Bluefield won the boys' AA state title.
Well, it's for some reason you put Bluefield Westside together. It just makes great basketball. And like you said, right, it's one of those things you didn't expect what we're getting already, but that's the beauty of December. You don't really know what you're going to get, but then the next thing you turn around and what you got in December may not be what you get in March. And Rick, as a coach, that's not always something you like to have. You want to get the same thing in December that you get in March, and sometimes you come up on the losing end.
Well, sometimes on the losing end, but sometimes it's a good thing because sometimes things can look pretty ugly in December. Those early matchups are always intriguing to me because when you have a big rivalry like that and you're just out of the blocks, as Ryan mentioned, a lot of things carry over from last year as far as rankings, and sometimes it appears that things have turned upside down. But really the 1st of January, when those rankings start coming out, I think you get a little more accurate picture of what the teams are bringing to the table this year. And we know things change. There's ebbs and flows every year, but it is surprising. We're so used to Bluefield's boys being a dominant program to see them on the short end, and the Westside girls the same. I don't know how long it's been since Bluefield's girls beat them. I'd say it's been a real long time since they beat them by that margin. Really
interesting games early on in the season. Of course, if you want to join us here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, you can give us a call. Our phone number 1-855-345-4709. Again, that's 1-855-345-4709. Now, one of the big events going on that we talked about is the Hoops Classic at the Charleston Civic Center. And then tomorrow, it's kind of part of the Hoops Classic, but it's its own branch of it, so to speak. You got the Big Ten Cardinal Conference Challenge. That was a great event last year, and Coach Marone, those two conferences getting ready to go out, and a big matchup tomorrow with Poca and Robert C. Byrd on the boys' side of things. Those were two of the three best teams perhaps in Double A, or maybe four best because Westside was right there with them. But boy, those two teams were really good a year ago and expected to be really good again this year.
Yeah, I tell you what, Ryan, if you're a hoops junkie like all of us are, but if you want to get out and see some basketball, they start early. I know Tulsa's boys tip off at 9:30 in the morning. This event tomorrow is actually at West Virginia State. I believe today was at the Civic Center because of the conflict with the women's game with Marshall and West Virginia.
That's right.
Tomorrow's games have been moved to the beautiful new facility there at West Virginia State. And again, Tulsa tips off at 9:30 against Philip Barber. Throughout the day, they've cross-matched those teams. I think it's an awesome event. And then I think one of the last games, if not the last game, will be the showcase game as Poca takes on RCB, two of the powerhouses in Class AA. Actually, a little preview next year. There's actually going to be a girls version of this. The site still being nailed down, but already been in talks with the Big Ten, the girls programs. They're excited about it. The Cardinal Conference, which we're part of, is excited. So there's going to be a girls part of that too. December 18th. The date's already been set. They're trying to nail down the location. But James, RCB and Poca, I tell you, for this early in the year, couldn't get much better than that to top off a Saturday of basketball.
Well, and that's coming off of a backside of a Friday night matchup. It's going to be number 1 Morgantown, number 5, 6, wherever you want to throw them at, Logan. And it's like, is this an early Christmas present that we're getting? You know, the matches we had last week, we saw some great matchups to really start, especially in the boys. Some big matchups today earlier on in some of the tournament classics and the showcase going on up in Charleston. But, yeah, you put those two teams together, mix it up with what we've got tonight. If that doesn't get your heart pounding, you better get to a doctor. You may be dead.
So, again, a lot of big games, and we'll talk about them all throughout the course of the evening. And as always, you can give us a call at 1-855-345-4709. And we talked about some teams in the Eastern Panhandle, and last week Rick Kozlowski was basically telling us from the Martinsburg Journal that the thought is that right now Jefferson is actually the best boys team in the Eastern Panhandle. They're the one that isn't ranked. Number 4 Washington, of course, took one on the chin last week at the hands of Fairmont Senior by 44 points on the road. And Martinsburg trailing Chavez out of Washington, D.C. Of course, you don't necessarily know what you're getting there in the Jefferson Mixer. That was a 16-13 game after one quarter. But always at least one or two good teams come out of the Eastern Panhandle into Charleston. Another one or two good teams get left home as well. It's way too early to really have a finger on the pulse of the best teams, especially throughout Class AAA. But, again, I think you have to look at Huntington, who's been impressive so far. Picked up a win over Parkersburg the other night. And then you look at South Charleston, who got to Charleston last year and didn't play well. Got beat in the first round by Hurricane. Hurricane lost to Capital earlier this week in a close game on the road, and that's a Hurricane team that has almost everyone back from last year. So basically you've got a lot of these same teams sort of in the mix again this year, but they're not necessarily in the same order.
Well, and Ryan, going back to one of the teams you were talking about, Washington, when was the last time when you pull up a standings list for AAA and you have to start scrolling to the bottom? Washington currently off to an 0-3 start. It's given up 68 points, only scored 51 of its first 3 games. And we go back to, as we talked last week, what this team did last year. At times, this team looked like a college team on the floor. It was almost like it had platoons that it could roll in and out. And it was one of the greatest things I remember last year watching that team play in the Charleston Civic Center of when they go into a fast break, you see 5 guys filling lanes. The point guard gets to the center of the floor, the ball gets to the center of the floor, and everybody else spreads out. And then just good luck trying to slow these guys down. They're off to a slow start. But, Rick, as you know, if you're going to start slow now. Start building up momentum headed into February, March.
Yeah, starting slow is one thing, James, but a 40-point beating at Fairmont, I think they're in definite rebuild mode. And, Ryan, that's a changing of the guard, if you will, and Jefferson trying to assume the mantle in the Eastern Panhandle.
And now the irony of that is that Washington is split off from Jefferson. That used to be one big school. Just as recent as within the past 6 or 7 years, Washington High School is not that old, in Charlestown, the Washington Patriots, not to be confused with the George Washington Patriots, who are in Charleston.
That's confusing.
I still, to this day, just wish there would have just been a little difference in that name. I think they could have come up with a little one better, but that's just me. We're going to step aside right now, take a break here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. We'll come back with more after this on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Tonight, we welcome all of our affiliates here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Thanks for being part of the show, and you can join us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Please become part of the show. Again, we welcome all of our newest affiliates, WHFI and Linside 106.7 FM, official voice of the James Monroe Mavericks. And all our old friends, WVOW Logan 101.9 FM, 1290 AM, voice of the Wildcats, Tigers, Chapmanville Tigers, and Man Hillbillies. WFGH 4K 90.7 FM, official voice of the Rebels, Timberwolves, and the Wayne Pioneers. WQAZLP Edmond, Fayetteville 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM in Beckley. Voice of the Fayetteville Pirates, Oak Hill Red Devils, Valley Fed Greyhounds, Meadowbridge Wildcats, and the Midland Trail Patriots. We also welcome WYAP Clay, 101.7 FM, official voice of the Clay County Panthers. Marshall University and their flagship station, 88.1 FM WMUL Huntington, voice of the Thundering Herd. Go to basketballnight.com. Listen in online, or you can watch our online high-definition video stream. Thanks again to rsnsports.com for carrying our video stream tonight. We're on Comcast Cable, if you're a subscriber, Channel 25. If you're on Armstrong Cable, you check us out on digital, Channel 204. Once again, join us on Twitter, @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup.
Celebrating high school basketball around the Mountain State, you're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, James Collier, Rudy Raines, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
9:17 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, Season 2, Week 2 edition of the program. We are live here inside the studios at Marshall University. A big thanks to Marshall for all it has done for us. And, we're going to thank them every week because they do so much. And, of course, James and the crew in the back, almost exclusively current Marshall students. And then, James, you kind of got the family in with you as well.
Yeah, I pulled the family
in.
in.
Yeah, the Collier family is at work back there, too.
Well, and the nice part is that my older son, he's getting ready to journey into this venture, God help him. But he signed a baseball contract a few weeks back. He's headed to Asbury University to continue his baseball career, but he's going to be studying media communications. So we got an opportunity to visit with them, and they're more the TV side. Marshall is really known for its radio side with WMUL, but that's his dream. That's what he wants to do. So that's where he's going to head to. But it's nice. It gives him an opportunity to kind of get his feet wet, and goodness knows he loves it. But yeah, the little one's at home tonight. He has a basketball game tomorrow. We had the whole family involved last week. It was a family event. It's a beautiful thing.
And then Fred Dameron and the crew at WFGH and Coach Marone. And again, this has just been a joint venture of bringing some resources together and making some amazing things happen. Of course, and I have to mention Marcus Constantino, Mike Stanley, Braxton Crisp, and all those guys.
We've got Braxton working all the way up in Michigan tonight. He's taking care
of it. You don't get a day off with us.
No, he's been on the spreadsheet, getting scores, trying to run down all these tournaments because, as you mentioned, it's a crazy time of year because the schedules go out and it just kind of has you're playing this schedule against this tournament. It doesn't have a team name. So Braxton's been on Twitter, the phones today, trying to run down who is actually playing who. So, yeah, all the way up in Michigan, he's taking care of that for us tonight. So he's inputting scores, and then I'm actually inputting scores over to the website.
Well, Braxton, almost the Inspector Clouseau of Basketball Friday Night, is he's searching and seeking out scores where it appears to be none. He's very diligent, and he's persistent, too. I tell you, he gets all the scores in a timely manner.
Cause would love that.
Of course, we try to cover every school throughout the state of West Virginia. Again, that's something that our goal is to get every score every Friday night. And we are also venturing more into the daily side of things through the week as well. And James, I'll let you explain the basketballnight.com scoreboard.
Yeah, we really wanted to turn this not to just to where we're providing scores just on Friday night. This is going to be something, as we say in one of our slogans, it's your one-stop shop for everything in the state of West Virginia for high school basketball. So with the great work between Marcus Constantino, Braxton Crisp, really behind the scenes on the website of getting everything there, and goodness knows I come up with so many great ideas, and I have no idea what the heck I'm doing. So I call Marcus or I call Braxton and say, hey, this sounds like a great idea. Can you make this happen? And Marcus just goes, oh, God, yeah, sure. So I get a text message. It's like, hey, this is working. I'm like, hey, great. Now try this. And he's like, God, would you stop? But no. Now we have a setup to where each night at midnight, actually 11:59, we will tweet out every score from the state of West Virginia that's happened, both boys and girls. And we're between the collective crew of everybody involved here, we're actually going through, we're checking Twitter, we're checking the AP Wire, every avenue that we can find of getting a score and getting those on there. And actually a new feature that we added in today actually had all three classes. The mascot's name is actually with the team and their logo. So when you go to the standings page, you'll see all of those. Marcus actually has gotten the AAA side done, still working on single and double coming up. But now when you click on a score, or a school name, it will take you to the actual schedule for both boys and girls for that school. We're trying to get there. We know that there's a need for not only just scores, but other things around the state. And there's an entity out there that tries to do things that sometimes comes up a little short. We're trying to fill that void. It's a work in progress. Please bear with us. And obviously, if you have ideas, send them to us. We love to hear them. We had a couple earlier this week that was like, winning score goes first. Okay, we know that. Okay, the database won't allow us to do that. We're trying. If you have any programming friends out there that can help us, Marcus said, please send them on. But go to basketballnight.com. I think you'll be very impressed with everything that we have to offer, with everything that we've been able to put together really over the last 2 weeks. And it's a work in progress, but again, hats off to Marcus and Braxton for everything that they've been able to really assemble with the website. Great job by those guys all the way around.
Well, Coach, obviously you're a high school basketball coach. What does the website allow for you to be able to do that maybe you didn't have information before?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's amazing what they have done. And, I got on there and surfed around a little bit, and, it is a one-stop shop. There's really no place else to get that. And from a coaching standpoint, to be able to go to one location, and not knocking some of the other websites and things that are even national, a lot of times information's not accurate. The rosters and things that they put on there may or may not be. But when you go to the website and you can see who a team's played, you can see the results, you can see some of the stats that are there for the teams, I think it's such a great baseline to build from and to have what we have at one place that's current. And I think James hit it on the head. I think that people pick up the morning paper, they try and find scores. Sometimes, just to be honest, sometimes the paper doesn't put the score. Sometimes they run that AP wire early. They don't get your school score. To have that midnight login where you've got everything, it's amazing. Well, so I encourage people to go and just try the website out. It's great.
And that was something you mentioned, Rick. That was something I ran into last night, was trying to run down all of the scores before that midnight post goes out. And I was able to find every score except for one boy score. But the problem is that the girl scores, they weren't available. There were almost 10 girl scores that, again, the AP Wire put out its last update at 11:09. I was up to 1 o'clock last night surfing for scores. They didn't put an update out. And when we have those holes out there, that's where whenever we have an opportunity to see what we can do and go out there. So if you see a score missing on our website, get in touch with us, because that will give us an opportunity to set up that avenue of bringing in that information, which makes the site even better.
And again, we appreciate everyone who has done so much for this program as well. And again, our phone number 1-855-345-4709. We'll get to the phone lines here in just a moment, but before we do that, guys, something that we can't go without mentioning. We are at Marshall University. It's kind of a tough time around here right now. Dr. Stephen Kopp passed away, the president of the university. died suddenly earlier this week of an apparent heart attack. And school's out, has been out for the winter break here. But James, I know you as a student, and I graduated from Marshall. Dr. Kopp was the president when I graduated also. Really a guy who did a whole lot of stuff, not only in what people could see, but just day to day. He was always available. He always had a smile on his face. He was helpful, and his footprint and his is all over this university.
Yeah, he's not a president that went and just would sit in a office and would disappear. He, as you mentioned, he was always out. It was not uncommon to see him in the student center or walking around, and he was always very cordial with the students. Had a great working relationship with the student body, and I know when I saw the note that he had passed earlier this week, it was shocking because I just received an email from him the night before. At MUL, we just received a notification of some new awards. The press release goes out, and he responded, congratulations as always. He was always so supportive of us at MUL. So, yeah, it was extremely shocking to hear the news and very saddened by that. But the announcement was made today that the private ceremony with the family will be this weekend. The open ceremony will be January 13th. So that'll be one day after students return to Marshall University. So, very, very saddened by that news, and obviously from everybody here, as well as my staff from WMUL. Thoughts and prayers go out to his family.
So, again, absolutely a big, it's not necessarily that he had a direct impact on us being able to do the show here, but indirectly the college president puts things into motion that allows for certain people to be able to do things, and this is one of the things that we've been able to do indirectly because of the work that he and the people who are above us in pay grade, which are quite a few, have been able to do. So we definitely thank all of them for all that they have done for us here as well. Right now, we're going to go to the phone lines, though, as Midland Trail beat Nicholas County 61-60 earlier tonight. And Greg Christ was there. Good ball game.
Yes, it was a good ball game. Got a little bit sloppy in the third quarter, but after that it toned down, and neither team had more than a 6-point lead throughout the contest, so it was an exciting game.
Well, you like those types of tight games early on in the year, kind of get the teams tested a little bit, and Midland Trail passes the test, but obviously I wouldn't say that Nicholas County necessarily failed it. That's a great ball game.
It was a very good game, and for both teams, I think Nicholas County, I talked to their coach prior to the game. They're awful inexperienced, and these are the type of games that they learn from, and I'm sure he's not going to be too negative about this one. As they hung in there and played well. They got down a couple times by 4 or 5, but fought right back and kept tying the game back up, so it just went back and forth. And then Midland Trail, on the other hand, that's 2 wins in a row for them. They defeated Greenbrier West the other night, and so Coach Miller here at Midland Trail is pretty fired up about what he's got going on with his team.
So that's a Midland Trail off to a good start, and I know you're getting ready to go into the week of Christmas, but still, you get off to a good start. I know that's something that every program's looking for. Midland Trail able to bounce back, had a tough opener against Fayetteville last week, but bouncing back with 2 big wins, and now a little bit of a break before a game with Gilmer County on the 30th.
Yep, that's right, and like I said, he's pretty encouraged. He's I know tonight they did the same thing they did against Fayetteville with a lot of turnovers. Again, his team, he has some experience, but he has some leadership guys that's played some, but they're still young experience-wise. And like we talked after the game, though, they're making some mistakes that are easily correctable. And to be able to win games like this is always a good learning curve for him. So I know he's encouraged about his team in the next few weeks. And again, both teams looked pretty good aside from the turnovers. Once they got that straightened out, both teams looked really good. So it was a fun ball game.
So an excellent ball game, as you said, and Midland Trail comes out with a 61-60 win over Nicholas County. And Greg, we appreciate you calling in, and feel free to call us any Friday night, anytime you get to a ball game.
Absolutely. I do these games for a couple of radio and TV stations, so I'm usually at one somewhere, so I'll be happy to call you.
All right, sounds good. That's Greg Christ. He was with Midland Trail as they beat Nicholas County tonight, 61-60. We're going to step aside and take a break. When we come back, we'll get another check of the scoreboard and take your phone calls, 1-855-345-4709. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
High school basketball action in West Virginia is heating up as the teams focus on a trip to the state championship in Charleston. Stay up to date with your local team and its progress all season long with Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia for 3 hours every Friday night from 9 to midnight. Listen online or on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State. Hear sports writers, broadcasters, coaches, players, your calls recapping your team's game. Visit basketballnight.com for more details on how you can be part of the show. And follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, your one-stop shop for all things in West Virginia high school basketball. Tonight, we'll be thanking many of the people and the affiliates that have helped make Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia possible, and we especially want to thank Marshall University for letting us use their facilities and studios here, and we do appreciate everyone downstairs and upstairs and all the guys you see on and off camera and names you'll see tonight work very hard and volunteer their time. A big thank you out to them and also to all of our affiliates. A shout out to a lot of the people that are watching tonight and listening, as well as the ones interacting on Twitter, including Andrew Clay, West Virginia Turkey Thug, Mountain State Prep Hoops, Lexi Browning, Examiner Sports, Nick Campbell, and Sean Ryan. Go to our landing page anytime, find out how to connect with the show. It's basketballnight.com.
Celebrating high school basketball around the Mountain State, you're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, James Collier, Rudy Raines, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
9:32 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, James Collier, and the Coach Rick Marone all with you here live on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. As the Open said, it's a celebration of high school basketball throughout the Mountain State. That's what we're here for. We know you're here because you like basketball, and you probably want to know what's going on across the state of West Virginia tonight. And, James, I think now's a good time for your second scoreboard update of the night.
Your one-stop shop for every score across the Mountain State. Go to basketballnight.com, click on the scoreboard. And also follow us at hoops_roundup. Every single day, we'll send out scores. Let's start on the girls' side. We had a possible showdown of what we'll see coming up in March. AAA, number 1 Morgantown, number 6 Logan. 32 minutes, not enough. Let's go to overtime. But Morgantown, victorious, 67-60. As number 1 knocks off number 6. Again, all of these rankings preseason. It was Parkersburg South knocking off Fayette County 54-50 earlier this afternoon down in the Crimscom Bank Holiday Invitational in Myrtle Beach. And a Hayton 16.7 rebounds, Taryn McCutcheon 10.6 assists, but knocks down all 6 free throws attempted in the final 2 minutes of the contest. Number 5 Spring Valley gets past George Washington. The Timberwolves 2-0, 57-42, the final score. Lincoln County takes care of the Big Blacks out of Point Pleasant, 75-29. In AA, number 1 Fairmont Senior. The Polar Bears knock off the Colts of Philip Barber, 86-36. It was number 5 Summers County knocking off Clay County, 65-44. Justice is served once again up in the Charleston Civic Center. Brittany Justice, Whitney Justice, double-doubles, 22 points, 10 rebounds for Brittany, 24 and 10 for Whitney. That's back-to-back weeks for Whitney with double-doubles. The Kaiser Golden Tornado blows away the Frankfort Falcons 62-56 in the Mineral Bowl Girls Basketball Edition. East Fairmont over Robert C. Byrd 48-43. Herbert Hoover, no trouble with the Buffalo Bison, 87-18 your final. It was Petersburg knocking off Moorfield, 71-45 in the Petersburg tip-off. Webster County gets by Fayetteville, our second overtime game of the night. This one goes to 2 overtimes, 72-70 Highlanders over the Pirates. We move to Class Single A. It was Sissonville with an upset over number 4 Charleston Catholic. Madison Jones, 38 points in the win for the Indians, 56-50 your final. She'll be joining us in the 11 o'clock hour. One note to pass along for the girls, Tyler Consolidated and Wirt. That game was canceled due to the flu in Tyler Consolidated. We go to the boys' side. We'll start in Class AAA. At the half, South Charleston leads Oak Hill 37-20. Actually, we have an update now. 80-48. That game is a final. So the South Charleston Black Eagles pick up the win over the Red Devils. Number 5, Wheeling Park over Riverside, 55-51. Phil Bledsoe, 24 points, 19 rebounds. Josh Carpenter has 19 in the losing effort. Parkersburg South over Brook, 68-41. At the end of the first quarter, Chavez out of Washington, D.C., still leading Martinsburg 16-13 in the Jefferson Mixer. George Washington knocks off St. Albans 57-48. Jefferson with a win over Broadfreeing. It was 78-32 in the fourth, the last check we had. We'll try to find a final and pass that along. Union Local out of Belmont, Ohio, doubles up and some more. John Marshall, 84-40 your final score. Nitro takes care of Point Pleasant, 69-50. It was Winfield over Ripley by 10, 63-53. At the half in the Liberty Raleigh tournament, Shady Springs in the locker room leading by 5 over host Liberty Raleigh, 24-19. We go to Class AA. Number 3, Bluefield trailing Capital, 48-37 in the Bluefield Christmas tournament. That game at the end of the third quarter. It was number 4, West Side all over Man, 102-79. Independence by Mountain View by 25, 95-74 your final in the Liberty Raleigh tournament. Midland Trail by 1 over Nicholas County, 61-60. It was Van knocking off Riverview, or check that at the end of the third quarter, 48-37. The Lumberjacks take care of the Bobcats out of Summers County, 49-42. John Baird, 17 points. Matt Ryan, 19 for Summers County. In Class Single A, Greater Beckley Christian, 82. Parkersburg Catholic, 43. That's in the Bluefield Christmas tournament. It was Pendleton County by 15 over Buffalo, 59-44 your final. Meadow Bridge over Greenbrier West, 49-35. The Blue Dons of Madonna, no problem with Steubenville Catholic, 63-49 your final. And at the end of the third quarter, Williamstown trails St. Mary's by 1, 42-41. That's a check of your scoreboard, basketballnight.com.
Yeah, that's a scoreboard that is always changing, and in fact, sometimes it changes right in the middle of it.
Right in front of your very own eyes. That was beautiful. I knew that South Charleston game had to be close to being finished, and I give a score, and bam, I just see the screen miraculously change. That was almost like magic.
Yeah, and again, we are looking for an update on that Chavez-Martinsburg game at the Jefferson Mixer as well. At the end of the first quarter, we had that score, but that was our last update, so we're definitely looking for an update on that one if we can get it as well. And trust me, we've got people behind the scenes who are really going after it and trying to knock down all those scores. Again, we don't care if you're Paw Paw or if you're Cabell Midland.
We want every score.
We want them all. Paw Paw and Harmon are playing tonight, and I want to know that score before the end of the night. Right now, let's go back to the phone lines. Dave Morrison is with us. Dave, welcome back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Hey, thank you. It's good to be back. I'm assuming I'd have to get in before Rick Kozlowski gets in.
Well, Dave, I talked to Rick earlier today, and you're safe because his daughter is moving tomorrow, so he's on vacation. So you've got all the time you want. You don't even have to follow him or trail him, either one.
I tell you, it's hard to get a word in edgewise. I worked with that guy for years.
Hey, you should try. We tried to talk with him last week. We were trying to go to break. Our producer was throwing things as I was trying to go to break, and he still wanted to tell us jokes.
Was he talking about the snow again?
No snow. He was on Seinfeld or something last week.
You just never know where he's going to go.
That's about the size of it. Hey guys, I had the had the Summers County Richwood at Summers County, I should say, game tonight. Low scoring affair. Richwood won that one, heard on the scoreboard, 49-42. Wouldn't really. It was 19-13 at the half, if that tells you anything. And it wasn't really a defensive struggle. It was just a case of both teams having a hard time getting shots to drop, especially Summers County this evening. Summers County falls to 1-2 now. Richwood is up to 2-1. Really impressed by this kid, John Baird, from Richwood. He had 17 points tonight, 7 rebounds, a shooting guard, 7 rebounds. I had him with 5 assists, and I think he could have had about 6 or 7 more, but teammates weren't quite prepared for his ability to pass, I think. It's still early in the season, obviously, but very impressive single-A player there, John Baird, and Levi Mowry, his running mate in the backcourt, had 13 points, so they combined for 30. You look on the Summers County side of things, Matt Ryan led the way with 19. He's still averaging right at 20 points. The problem is he wasn't getting a whole lot of help. He had double figures, and no one else had more than 2 points until the fourth quarter.
So 40.
So it's just a case of they just couldn't get shots to drop.
So 49-42 win for the Lumberjacks tonight over Summers County. And Dave, the basketball down in that area is strong again this year. I know Summers County a couple of years ago was very, very dangerous with Teron Ayers, and then he ended up at Wyoming East last year. But seems as though Summers County maybe has come back to the pack a little bit, and Richwood, that's a nice win for the Lumberjacks.
Yeah, a nice win for them. I think they're probably in a sectional where they can be competitive. If you look at Summers County, maybe not so much right now. You look at Westside, obviously I think would be the team to beat down here. I know they scored over 100 tonight. They had the big win over Bluefield earlier this week in the battle of 3 versus 4 teams and won by 30 points. I think maybe the result wasn't as surprising as the margin of victory ended up being. Anytime you beat a Bluefield team, it's a major accomplishment. Anytime you beat them by 30, it's a bit of a shock, I would think. But Westside has a very, very good basketball team. You look at the other teams in the area. Pikeview with a huge win over Wyoming East earlier in the season opener. So, there's a lot of great basketball down here right now.
Richwood will have a week off. They'll get back in action, though, next Friday night at Webster County in a Christmas tournament. And then Wyoming East will host, let's see. Summers County will play at home against Greenbrier West, That comes up on Monday. Then with a game the following Monday against Wyoming East for Summers County.
As big as a win as it was for Richwood, I think it has to be just as big, if not bigger, disappointment for Summers County, especially coming off a big win over Liberty, a Liberty team down here that's, they were highly thought of coming into the season, and not to say they won't be, because they do have a very good team. You wonder what would have been if Levi Cook had stayed there.
Yeah,
for his junior and senior year. But they have a good team, and that was a huge win for Summers County. It looked like it would give them some momentum, early in the season, but they just could not get a shot to drop tonight.
And Dave, I know you cover a lot more teams than just these two, but I do want to mention this. Richwood playing the day after Christmas. That's an interesting situation because you lose that Christmas Day practice, at least in theory, and end up having to come out the day after and play a game on the road at Webster County. That's a tough go.
I'm thinking that they might have some kind of walkthrough on Christmas Day.
Yeah, I figure the team will find a way to get together.
And another interesting point, I should mention that there were 2 starters out for Richwood. One with an injury, and one has the strep throat, and a player missing for Summers County tonight as well. But that's just a huge win for Richwood going forward. And again, that very impressive backcourt they have with John Baird and Levi Mowry, 2 seniors.
It's a very good ball game there again, and Richwood getting the win tonight over Summers County. Dave Morrison, good to hear from you again, and we look forward to hearing from you again next week.
Hey, sounds good. Always nice talking to you guys.
Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. Very, very much appreciated. Right now, we're going to step aside and take a break. When we come back, we'll hear from Brian Johnson. He was at the Ripley-Winfield game. That game, one that came into the fourth quarter as well. We'll talk about that game and more when we come back here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, and that's every one of them. Check us out. Visit basketballnight.com, and we've got them every day of the week. Comcast viewers on Channel 25, no audio again. Sorry about that. We are working on getting that repaired. You can check us out on Armstrong Cable, Digital Channel 204. That is working, we're told. You can also listen in on 106.7 FM, WHFI in Linside, 101.9 FM, WVOW in Logan, 90.7 FM, WFGH Fort Gay, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM, WQAZ, that's in Edmond and Beckley, 101.7 FM, WYAPLP in Clay, and if you're in the Huntington area, 88.1 FM, WMUL. Online video, you can watch that at basketballnight.com, also rsnsports.com. Thanks for joining us. We do want to remind you, if you've got a shootout or tournament, send us that information to scores@basketballnight.com, scores@basketballnight.com. We'll make sure to include that as part of the show. We'll talk about it, post it on the website, pass it along to everybody that'd like to know. Join us every Friday night from 9 to midnight, right here at the home of high school basketball in the Mountain State. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Big shout out to some of the people following us on Twitter: Michael Minich, Bill Camp, Matt Jones, Jeff Wright, MBHS Wildcats, the SV Wolfpack, Rob Metzger, SCHS Athletes, Mark Cook, Jake Flatley, and Mark Thomas. It's all about high school basketball right here. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to Basketball Night in West Virginia with James Collier, Rudy Raines, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
9:47 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, James Collier, Rick Marone, nice to have you back.
Glad to be back. You didn't know I could move that quick, did you?
I'm telling you, you moved the whole set.
Granted, I did. The pumpkin roll's a little bit smaller right now.
Is it really? Is it because of you?
I won't go any further.
What I was impressed with was he did like 2 defensive slides over here.
That's the most. He's probably going to be in an ice tub before he gets home. Yeah. That's the most movement he's had in a month.
Good times during Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. If you want to join in, give us a call. 1-855-345-4709 is the number. Brian Johnson was at the Ripley-Winfield game tonight. A 10-point win for the Generals, 63-53. Brian, a big-time early season matchup. You like those games that are good and competitive, and that one was tonight.
Well, it sure was. Hats off to Winfield, though. They came in tonight, and they were the aggressor, taking it to the Vikings. The Vikings, probably one of the taller teams they've had in several years, but they're very slight of build. And the Generals' game plan tonight was come in, play very physical, bring the physicality right to the Vikings. They did that. And Bear Bellamy was an absolute handful on the offensive end. He had 21 points at halftime tonight. And Alex Osborne picked up where he left off in the second half. And the Vikings simply missed a lot of point-blank shots due to the physicality, and they just weren't prepared for that. And I think they'll go back to the drawing board, and Coach Evan Faulkner, the new coach here at Ripley High School, will have them ready the next time out, because anyone that watches the film between the Point Pleasant game Tuesday night and the game tonight, the recipe to get our bigs in a little bit of trouble will be run the floor, full court pressure, and play very physical under the basket. So they will need to get back to the drawing board and try to find a remedy to the problem tonight.
Brian, James Collier, thanks for calling in tonight. Talk about the new coach, Evan Faulkner from Elliott County, and when you walk into Elliott County, you have two options. You can either play basketball or you're welcome to leave. And the type of offense, I remember coaching against him when he played in high school. His offense was a 5 wide. Everybody on the bench could shoot. They could shoot coming off the bus. Is that kind of the philosophy he's trying to instill there at Ripley of everybody's a system? It's a 5 out, almost a 5-man weave, if you will, and anybody on the floor can shoot the rock.
Well, James, that was the plan until he got to town and noticed that he had a 6'8" and a 6'7" guy. And I think when he saw that, he said, you know what? I think I might need to be the smarter guy here and play inside out. And that's what he's really been trying to do. He has a very skilled big guy, sophomore Chase Johnson. He's 6'7". He can shoot the elbow jumper. He's a really good passer for a big guy, great rebounder. He's had 25 and 20 so far in 2 games. And then he has Luke Leahy down the block, who's 6'8". He's a junior. Both of those guys are slight of build, but they're very athletic and good rebounders, good off-the-ball rebounders, weak side rebounding as well offensively. And what he's trying to do is open that shooting perimeter up for Jamison Hunt, who is also a sophomore that has proven over his first year to be a pretty sharp shooter from the perimeter. They're missing one more scorer. And that was evident tonight as they were getting open shots from some of the reserves, and we just could not get them to fall as they were really crashing down, playing a lot of zone tonight on our big guys, and playing box and one almost on Jamison and forcing someone else to beat them, and that proved to be a good strategy for them tonight. But, James, to get back to Evan, a young guy, you listen to him in his interviews, and he sounds like he's been in the business for 25 years, and he is a guy that was groomed for a coaching job, and I just think he will do a great job. He has the Vikings playing with as much energy through 2 games as maybe I've seen as long as I've been calling Viking basketball. So, a rough night tonight, but certainly a future that Viking fans can be excited about.
He certainly is a player, and as you mentioned, going into the coaching role, that if the fans will just allow him to have his moments, his time, he will bring an exciting style of basketball each and every night. It may not bring a win because there's nights that you're going to go through lulls of bad shooting nights, but when it's on, look out, and the Ripley Vikings will be a force to be reckoned with across the state of West Virginia.
I don't think there's any doubt about it. I mean, especially maybe not this year, but next year when Leahy's a senior and Jamison Hunt and Chase Johnson are juniors. We have a couple of young guards get some experience this year that I think will be really beneficial for them. And, who knows? They could have a really, really good year this year. We're expecting it to be exciting and expecting them to make a run in the sectional anyway and at least make a game of it. But definitely the future is bright for Viking basketball, and then Evan is a very, very big part of that for sure.
And for those who aren't fully aware of Evan Faulkner, he was a standout high school player at Elliott County, Kentucky. That's a small school in Sandy Hook, Kentucky. They don't even have a football program there. And
you can't get there from here.
There's no good road into Elliott County. But he was part of a team and part of just a group of about 5 or 6 players. They went about 6 deep that made the Kentucky State tournament in the Sweet 16, and they were kind of like the old. Like the movie Hoosiers in a way. They were just a bunch of guys who played basketball, and they got some national attention when they were in high school, and so they all went their separate ways for college and so forth. But that was an amazing team to watch. I know WSAZ aired a couple of Elliott County high school games when Evan Faulkner was in high school.
And a great read on ESPN.com written by Joe B. Hall. You'll know the legendary coach at the University of Kentucky. Writes a memoir almost, so to speak, about that team that he watched them play in Rupp Arena when they made it to the Final 8, and they played against Darius Miller's team several years ago that played on the national championship team for the Kentucky Wildcats. He writes an article about them and their style of play and how exciting they were and just what a breath of fresh air he felt it was to high school basketball. So if you run across that on ESPN.com, I would encourage you to read it because it is a great read.
Well, the Ripley Vikings will be back in action at Nitro coming up on Tuesday night, and then they'll head up to Brook for a tournament there. So doing a little bit of traveling here in the next week and a half or so.
Yeah, they will, and things definitely will not get easier. You know, that Brook tournament will certainly test their mettle early on in the season, and Nitro is always a tough place to win. And, you know, my color analyst, Jeff Weber, and myself were mentioning in pregame tonight, with this young basketball team, with the success that they had Tuesday night at Point Pleasant, what's their maturity level? How will they deal with that success after listening to us tell them how great they are for a couple of days? And it proved itself tonight. They need to put their head down, and Coach Faulkner said that in the post-game interview. You got to go to work. You can't start to feel too good about yourself after one win. So I think you'll see that, and this team will continue to improve the more experience they get and the little mentally tougher that they get throughout the season.
Brian Johnson, voice of the Ripley Vikings. They fall tonight 63-53, but Brian, good to hear from you. Look forward to hearing from you again on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Keep up the good work.
Thanks, Brian. Take care.
All right, that's Brian. Yeah, that's Brian Johnson. Thank you very much. And guys, again, cannot stress enough. The Evan Faulkner hiring at Ripley is an interesting one. He's young. First off, he's very young. He's just out of college, really. And but Coach Marone, you don't have to be all that old to get it. And, you know, he's got to go in there and change the culture a little bit. And he's got a good basketball background to do so.
Well, he's definitely got the pedigree. You mentioned his playing days and a lot of excitement. I'm sure that's the style he wants to bring. But, you know, smart enough to adapt to the personnel. Brian mentioned the size. They've got some inside players. So Evan Faulkner, a very good coach, a young coach. It's always exciting to see young coaches come onto the scene and bring new ideas and fresh ideas. And James, I know what he would like to mold that Viking program into, but I think one of the signs of a great coach, particularly at the high school level. Now, you don't recruit to a system in high school. You have to take what you have, and every year is different. And I think he'll be tested because I think the MSAC is a tough proving ground for a young coach. When you look down their schedule and you see the South Charlestons, the Spring Valleys, heading to Brook for a tournament, one of the biggest things is dealing with that mental part of the basketball game. And if you've got some young players, you don't want their confidence to get shaken. So that young coach is really going to have to keep the troops together.
Yeah, he's going to have to keep the troops together. And as you mentioned, it's kind of adapt and overcome. Is the style that he's has the blood running through his veins. It's a weave offense. Everybody outside. Everybody can shoot the ball across half court. But when you come in and you have two guys over 6'7", that doesn't exactly work. But as you mentioned in the MSAC, if he can get that style of system as working his young kids, the 7th and the 8th graders coming in through the program through the middle school and bringing those in through freshman and junior varsity, you give somebody 4 or 5 years of learning that system, and then you bring that style of system into the MSAC, make a 6'7", 6'8" guy have to step out on the wing and guard a kid that's 6'1" and shifty, that can shift and shoot the ball anywhere that he wants to, because then you really spread out and you take away those big teams like your South Charlestons, like your Spring Valleys, like your Huntingtons, and it becomes almost to the point to where it's a track meet. It's no longer a game that he's worried about if he's trailing at the end of the third quarter. He can make a 12-point run with the way that offense runs in a matter of a minute. But it's all of the things of he has to have those type of athletes in the program. And once he gets that, that's when he can start to build.
And I think you're right. And I think that it's a dangerous game to play. I've been there myself. We had a team in 97, and we were averaging 70, 75 points a game. We scored almost 100 points. We had 5 players that could run the floor and score. We were a transition team. We had several college players off that team. 98 comes around. I'm thinking, hey, we got our style here. Well, I had a couple players that could not get up and down the floor. We're not outside threats. I started that year trying to play the same style, and we were in trouble. We adapted, and then by 99, we had found our identity. I think high school's different. I think that you have to adapt to your personnel, and I think that he will do that. And I think that he'll be successful because I think he will adapt. But I can tell you the round peg and square hole don't always fit. You have to have your philosophy and your beliefs. And I know that Coach Faulkner has his beliefs, but I think he's also smart enough to figure out that you got to use what you got.
Well, it was funny when I talked with Brian Johnson the year that they hired Evan, and he mentioned it. I said, oh, yeah, the kid from Elliott County. And his head almost came off his shoulders. He's like, what are you talking about? I said, I coached against this kid. I know what he can do. You guys got a great fit. And what he's going to bring to that system, man, it's going to be fun to watch. I can't wait to get to watch him a few years down the road. If he can get that athletes and those program the way that he wants to coach, man, it's going to be worth the price of admission.
Patience for everyone,
Absolutely.
though, to get there. But it will be it could be a lot of fun once we do. Right now, we'll step aside and take a break. When we come back on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, we'll have another check of the scoreboard, and you'll hear from our very first standout athlete. This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Thank you tonight for being part of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. We appreciate each and every one of you. And of those following us on Twitter, if you haven't joined, follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup. @hoops_roundup. We also welcome all of our affiliates. And by the way, there is power in the people. If we're not on a radio station in your area, contact that station. Tell them you want them to carry Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. We're available for any station in West Virginia to carry, and we're glad for anyone to be part of the Basketball Friday Night family, including WHFI Linside 106.7 FM, WVOW in Logan 101.9 FM and 1290 AM, WFGH Fort Gay 90.7 FM, WQAZLP Edmond Fayetteville, operating on 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM in Beckley, WYAP-LP in Clay, 101.7 FM, 88.1 FM WMUL in Huntington. You can also check us out on Comcast Channel 25. Sorry, no audio tonight either. We're working on that. Armstrong Cable, if you're an Armstrong Cable subscriber, we're on Digital Channel 204. Also, you can watch the high-quality HD video stream online. Go to basketballnight.com. Check it out. You can also find that same stream on rsnsports.com. Tweet us your team scores and updates, or follow our collection of scores throughout the night @hoops_roundup. @hoops_roundup. Basketball Friday Night.
This is Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Heard statewide on great radio stations. Visit basketballnight.com to find the station nearest you. Online video provided by rsnsports.com. Get all the scores all the time on Twitter @hoops_roundup. Now back to the hosts of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. James Collier, Rick Marone, Rudy Raines, and Ryan Epling.
10:02 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Welcome back to the program. Ryan Epling, Rick Marone, James Collier with you as we head into hour number 2 of 3. We're with you till midnight here on the Fast Break Sports Network. Again, if you want to give us a call, 1-855-345-4709 is the number. Of course, you can also get with us on our website, basketballnight.com, and also follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup. We're at 975 followers. We're trying to get to 1,000 before the end of the night. So we just got 25 more to go. So we're trying to get there. Definitely give us a follow at @hoops_roundup, and we'll have all your scores for basketball night. And speaking of scores, Coach Rick Marone with the 10 o'clock hour here with a scoreboard update.
Looking for scores? Look no more. It's the basketballnight.com scoreboard update. First in class AAA boys, South Charleston defeats Oak Hill 80-48. Washington, the 4th-ranked Patriots, bounce back, get a big win 65-47 over James Wood Colonels out of Winchester, Virginia. Also in AAA, Wheeling Park, number 5, defeated Riverside 55-51. Parkersburg South 68, the Brook Bruins 41. At the end of the first quarter, the Chavez Eagles 16, Martinsburg 13. That game in the Jefferson Mixer. Also in Class AAA, the George Washington Patriots slayed the Dragons tonight 57-48. They defeat St. Albans. Jefferson 78, Broadford Christian Academy Lions out of Hagerstown, Maryland, 78-32. Say that 3 times quickly. Union Local Jets, 84. John Marshall, 40. Nitro, 69. Point Pleasant, 50. Also in AAA, Winfield, 63. Ripley, 53. Shady Spring, 49. Liberty Raleigh, 42. In Class AA, 60 for Capital, 48 for Bluefield. That's a final in the Bluefield Christmas Tournament. I hear Marcus weeping back in the background. West Side 102, Man 79, Independence 95, Mount View 74. That game in the Liberty Raleigh tournament tonight. A lot of holiday tournaments going on this weekend. Midland Trail 61 defeats Nicholas County 60. That one was a nail biter. In overtime, Riverview 72, Van 62. Also in Class Single A, Richwood beats Class AA Summers County 49-42. John Bard, 17 points for Richwood. Matt Ryan and Jacob Lively leading Summers County. In Class A, it's Greater Beckley Christian 82, Parkersburg Catholic 43. Wesley Christian gets a win over Charleston Catholic 56-53. Pendleton County 59, Buffalo 44. Meadow Bridge 49, Greenbrier West 35. The Cavaliers fall to the Wildcats. The Madonna Blue Dawn 63, Steubenville 49. Williamstown gets a hard-fought 55-53 victory over St. Mary's. A basketball matchup. We saw a football matchup between those two teams just here a while back in the Super 6. In girls basketball tonight, big-time matchup. Number 1 Morgantown goes into Willie Acres Arena, gets a 67-60 win in overtime over the Logan Wildcats. Parkersburg South goes on the road to get a 54-50 win at Myrtle Beach. The warm confines there in Myrtle Beach, the Crestcom Bank Holiday Classic, and they were led by Taryn McCutcheon, 10.6 assists. Anna Hayton, 16 and 7 for Parkersburg South. Spring Valley, big win over George Washington, 57-42. Bo Miller, his crew on a roll early on. Greenbrier East, 61. Jefferson, 51. Lewis County, the Minutemen, 41. Preston Knights, 39. A final, Lincoln County Panthers 75, Point Pleasant 29. Lincoln County on a roll early on this season. Fairmont Senior in Class AA rolling all over the Philip Barber Colts 86-36. Summers County Bobcats, as James would say, bringing justice to Clay County 65-44. Brittany and Whitney Justice leading the Bobcats. Kaiser, the Tornado, rolling over Frankfort 62-56 in the Mineral Bowl girls edition. Scott 57, Wayne 53. Big Cardinal Conference matchup in Wayne. Scott knocks off the Lady Pioneers. Also in Class AA, East Fairmont, bit of a surprise, upsets Robert C. Byrd 48-43. Herbert Hoover 87, Buffalo 18. That is a final. Petersburg 71, Moorfield 45 in the Petersburg tournament. Webster County in overtime, 2 overtimes, defeats Fayetteville 72-70. And Sissonville in the Hoops Classic gets a 56-50 win over Charleston Catholic. Madison Jones tosses in 38 points for the Indians. Also in Class Single A, Pendleton County 70, Bath County, Virginia 27. And our final score, Wood County Christian 59, Elk Valley Christian 44. That is your BasketballNight.com scoreboard update.
Well, as you heard Coach Moreau mention, the Clay County Lady Panthers fell tonight 65-44, or it was actually earlier today, to the Summers County Bobcats at the Charleston Civic Center Coliseum. Clay County now 4-2 on the year, and also the home of our very first standout athlete of the week, Mackenzie Barker. She joins us now. Mackenzie, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
Mackenzie, James Collier, first off, congratulations for being selected as our first standout athlete of the week. Before we get started, it's kind of one of those deals. It was a way that another thought process of how can we add another element to the show, and we always want to give back to the athletes. And so we put this out there as a way that it's not something that we're selecting. This was a nomination that was sent in from outside. And we're taking stuff from not just on the court, but also what you're doing off the court. And let me run over what the reason that she was nominated, because she definitely has quite the resume. She scored her 1,000th point this past week, also pulled down her 500th career rebound. She is over 1,000 points, 435 assists, 381 steals, 169 blocks, and doing this while playing every position or every game at the point guard position. She's a second-team All-State, made All-Tournament at the AA State Tournament as a freshman. First team All-State as a sophomore and a junior, and she started and scored in every career high school game. She plays AAU basketball for the West Virginia Breakers Elite. And then we go to the classroom. A 4.2 grade point average, a straight A student, scored a 25 on her ACT. She's actively being recruited by several colleges and an active member in the youth group of the Reamer Gospel Tabernacle. Mackenzie, that's quite the resume to have for just a high school player. For you, when you found out, I know earlier today I tried to contact you, and it was kind of a daunting task to hear someone that you've never spoke to, but how do you feel now finding out that you're the first ever standout athlete of the week for the Basketball Friday Night?
Oh, it's a privilege. Definitely a privilege.
Well, Mackenzie, let's talk about the season so far for this Clay County Ball Club. 4-2, I know it was a tough loss today to a very good Summers County team, but still off to a strong start overall. Wins over Doddridge County and Braxton County. Also a win over Scott in the Williamstown tournament. And a win over Nicholas County as well. So your two losses were Wheeling Central and Summers County early on in this campaign. How's the season gone from your perspective to this point?
I think it will be very promising. We just got to get used to the pressure of these quick, like mostly guarded teams. Like Summers County, their press is just one of, in my opinion, has to be one of the top in the state. So I think it was definitely a learning experience today, so I think that it will definitely help us in the long run, and this season will be very promising, I believe.
Mackenzie, you bring up Summers County having a big win today, 65-44. The Justice girls have been on point to start the season. What do you know about what they can do, and how much do they aid in that press that you talk about?
Oh, those girls, they're great. I know Whitney, she drove, I honestly, I don't even know how many points she had, but she definitely helped out a lot along with her sister. They both like to drive the basket, and they're both so quick that, I mean, like a few times while they were pressing, we were trying to break it, they came from nowhere and just stole the ball. It's, like I said, they're a very quick team, and along with those two girls, help it a lot.
Mackenzie, Coach Marone, first of all, congratulations on the award. And I was wondering that you've really been a standout there at Clay County your whole career there, and I know your sister was there when you first started in there at Clay County. But as you've moved up and now being a senior, how has your leadership role changed? Because you've really been a leader even when you were a younger player. But have you found yourself more in a role where you're trying to bring more people into what you all are trying to accomplish there? Because it really looks like a lot of the girls look to you to lead the way.
Yeah, definitely. I've known those girls. I've played with them since middle school, some of them before that, so we definitely have a very good bond, and anytime they need advice or they have a question, they'll usually come to me, and I try to give them the best answer I can possibly give.
Mackenzie, the other thing, too, you have played in some big games. You guys have been in the state tournament, and that experience that you've had and the older girls on your team, how important is that when you play teams like Summers County and some of the teams that you all have on your schedule? And as you try and make another run to Charleston, it's a totally different atmosphere there in the Civic Center. And, how has it been trying to let those other younger girls know what it's like so maybe they can step their game up too?
Honestly, it's not been that bad because a few of them, like most of our juniors, my sophomore year when we went to states, they got to play there a little bit. But and that just helps us. The game today just helps us in another way in the long run. Just them getting used to the playing just on that bigger floor like that in a bigger facility. It definitely helped them. I told them today it was just like a practice for states. Get them used to it, and I think they'll do fine if we ever. Hopefully, we get back to states, and I think they'll be all right.
Well, Mackenzie Barker, Clay County, our standout athlete of the week. Congratulations. Very first one to win that award. So, again, congratulations on that, and wish you the best of luck the rest of the season.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Mackenzie.
Thank you.
All right, we definitely thank Mackenzie Barker. And, again, if you're watching online or on television, you can see while we were interviewing her, we had some pictures that they were able to send in for us to show and see her playing ball. You kind of see the tenacity even in photos. In still photos, you can see it.
Yeah, it was funny. I sent her a message today after talking with her, and I said, can you send us some photos so we can use on the show tonight? And she said, sure. So she sends me one. I was like, do you have any more? I said, maybe one or two more. At 7, I was like, okay, I think we're good now. We're good. Thank you for getting those over to us. But, yeah, you could see the tenacity. And one of my favorite pictures was her. She wasn't even playing ball, but she was had her arm up and she was adjusting her hair, but you could see the tenacity in her eyes. And that was one on the West Virginia Breakers Elite team. But a new segment to the show every week. We will do that. We're going to add a segment or section to the website where you'll be able to go on there and click on the icon. I'll have Marcus orchestrate that as he rolls his eyes right now. Great, more work. But go on there, fill out all the information, and a little spot to just, why are you nominating this? And you can do anything that you want. Write in there anything you want, but we'll select that, and each week, if we have enough nominees, we may even select 2, but we'd like to try to get a boys and girls each week if we can. But either way, go to basketballnight.com for more information.
So right now we've got to step aside and take a break. When we come back, we will hear from Lance Sutherland, head coach of the Hurricane Redskins boys basketball team. We'll also hear from Mike Fallon, head coach of Parkersburg South's boys team. We'll hear from those guys when we come back on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
There's no place better to be than right here for basketball in West Virginia. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Tweet us your team scores and updates, or follow our collection of scores throughout the night. Become part of the show. Join us and share your team's game. Call toll-free 1-855-345-4709. 1-855-345-4709. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. A big shout out to the people viewing us on Twitter and part of the Basketball Friday Night family. Steve Nutter, R. Hunt, The Voice, Gazette Sports, Sarah, WVOW Radio, Tim Carper, Alex Medina, Brian Harper, Ivan Fox, Grant Traylor, Folks, Sean Ryan, Landon McKinney, Cameron Basketball, Key Player Nation, JB, Winfield Basketball in Mountain State, Prep Hoops. Thanks for becoming part of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Join us every Friday night from 9 to midnight at the home of high school basketball in the Mountain State. It's Basketball Friday Night, and we have it on good word that the Hatfield-McCoy feud has started again. It's scheduled to begin on January 17th at the Williamson Fieldhouse. It is the Hatfield-McCoy shootout. It is Kentucky's best versus West Virginia's best. You can check it out at the Williamson Fieldhouse. Games begin at 10:30 and will end about 11 o'clock at night based on our past experience.
Stay up to date on your favorite teams. Check out basketballnight.com. Now, back to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia with Coach Rick Marone, James Collier, Rudy Raines, and Ryan Epling.
10:17 on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, James Collier, Rick Marone with you as another night of basketball in the books in many cases. Some games running a little bit late because of tournament play today and into this evening, or Hoops Classic play, so to speak, as well. So right now, let's go back to the phone lines to Lance Sutherland, head coach of the Hurricane Redskins. And Coach, off to another pretty good start this season. I know a rough loss earlier this week to Capital, but still, that was a good game and a good game for your team early on this year. And again, another good start after a state finals appearance a year ago.
Yeah, it was. It was a good game. We just had a rough third quarter. It's my fault. I kind of switched up defenses when I shouldn't and kind of put us back a little bit. But they didn't quit and battled back, and it was a good game. I'll tell you what, Capital's loaded. They're pretty good. as evidenced tonight in their score.
I think it just goes to the fact of how difficult and how rugged the MSAC is night in, night out. And, there were two MSAC teams, and they're on championship Saturday last year, your team and Huntington, and that was a great ball game, and it was a classic AAA final. And quite frankly, a lot of times when you get into the postseason, these games can go either way. I mean, these games don't necessarily sometimes the regular season game doesn't necessarily carry over into the postseason. I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
Exactly, but that was my point. The state tournament, the games we played, South Charleston, Hedgesville, and Huntington. I mean, that's our schedule night in and night out. So it wasn't. I mean, it's on a bigger stage, but we face that competition every night. So it's not like it's something new. So I mean, our kids are used to playing against teams like that. So it isn't another game, but it is another game. If that makes sense too.
Coach Sutherland and James Collier, thanks for joining us here on this program tonight. How much do you take away to where you try to split the season up into 3 segments, kind of your preseason, that's your non-conference games, and then your conference season, and then as well as the postseason, to where those games that you do in non-conference, you try to get some things on film just so that you have those available if you want to throw them in there in that conference schedule or the postseason schedule as well?
Well, yeah. Well, the conference being so big, I mean, our non-conference schedule is pretty small, and they're usually against conference teams anyway. I mean, this year I think we have maybe 1 or 2 games that are not against conference schools. So I try. Our schedule is usually pretty tough at the beginning, as evidenced this year. And basically what I try to do, I try to play as tough schedule as I can. So come sectional time that we're ready to go, and we've been seasoned and we've battle tested and we're ready to go.
Well, Coach,
so I try to break it up. I mean, I don't really try to break it up into sections. I just try to make it as competitive as we can, and hopefully it gets us ready to go.
Coach, you bring up an interesting point there. That actually was our poll question last week on the website. Do you prefer a more difficult schedule to start the season, or a maybe not an easier schedule, something to kind of gain momentum and confidence for some of the younger players? And the way you're talking, you like it as tough as they come, and it really – how do you see that getting your players ready for conference play as well as once you get into the postseason?
That's just my opinion. I mean, I want to play as tough schedules as I possibly can and start with it. I mean, I don't – you really can't tell anything by playing games where it's not going to be competitive. So, and we have, we're senior laden again this year, so they should be ready to go at the bell, and they were against Winfield, and they played tough against Capital, and then, we turned around and we got Poco on Tuesday, so it doesn't get any easier.
I was just getting ready to say, how good is Putnam County basketball again this year? I mean, Winfield seems to be pretty good again. Poco has so much back from that great team a year ago, and you've got a whole lot back from a really good team a year ago.
Right. I mean, and it is. It's real good. And Poco's probably, with the 2 D1 players there, they may be the best, but we'll find out come Tuesday night. And it is. Putnam County basketball right now is in pretty good shape.
Great run of success there at Hurricane High School, coming off of a baseball state title, coming off a basketball state runner-up a year ago. Do those things kind of help? Because I know a lot of your players play both.
Right, and I think it does. I mean, because and I think Coach Sutton summed it up best when they were talking about state baseball tournament. With JT on the mound, here he was in the state semifinals in basketball, shooting free throws to win the game. So. It does. It prepares them for whatever comes next, and it doesn't make them nervous. I mean, they've been there, they've done that, so it's just, if that makes sense, they're ready to go. It's not something new to them.
The Hurricane Redskins. Sorry, Coach, go ahead.
Yeah, and like I said, it prepares them for whatever comes their way, and they're good kids too. So, and they don't get rattled very easily in anything.
And that's definitely been a successful group. I remember watching them in Little League in the 11 and 12-year-old Southeast Regional. I actually got to call some of those games when they were playing in Canova, West Virginia, and they were really good then. And they were just 1 or 2 breaks away from making a TV appearance there and a chance to go to Williamsport. And the fact that they can carry over baseball success to basketball is just incredible. So, Coach, congratulations on we didn't get to talk to you at the end of last year. Congratulations on that year. I know you've moved on to this year. We're ready to move on to this year as well. And off to a 1-1 start. Sometimes we're a little bit late with our congratulations.
Hey, that's okay. I'll take it anytime.
But again, we appreciate you calling in. A big game coming up against Poca on Tuesday night at Poca. So good luck with that.
At the Dot Dome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate it.
All
Thanks
right.
for having me.
Thanks, Coach.
Absolutely.
All right, see you later.
That is head coach Lance Sutherland of the Hurricane Redskins. Going right back to the phones to Mike Fallon, coach of the Parkersburg South Patriots boys team. They beat Brooke again. Coach, did we have this conversation last week about a win over Brooke?
I think so, but this one's come out a little bit better.
So
we played a little bit better tonight than we did last week.
yeah, last week you go on the road and get the win. It was a tight ball game, a little bit tighter maybe than what some people, including you, would have liked, but able to kind of get a little more free-flowing and get the win tonight in the Charleston Civic Center Coliseum earlier today, I should say, 68-41. What was the difference between last week and this week?
We played well defensively, I think, in the first half, and that made the biggest difference. I think we're up 41-11 at the half, but we were able to get a lot of pressure on them. You know, we watched the film from last week and saw some of the things that we needed to adjust on, and our kids had, you know, and given a week to prepare for a team, it helped a bunch too. So just seeing the little things that we needed to fix from last week made a world of difference.
Well, Coach, sometimes it's tricky to play a team basically back-to-back, which is what you just did with Brooke. But was this an opportunity well early in the season, so early in the season, to get a game on film, make an adjustment, and go out and play the same opponent and see that adjustment come to life?
Yeah, and it's pretty neat to see out of your kids, too, and see how they, you know, and we've got a group of kids that, you know, they've been around, they love basketball, they're gym rats, and, you know, and just to see them to be able to do that's a good thing. And, you know, Brooks in our section, and it's one of those things that, you know, we wanted to make sure we beat them twice because we do the home court advantage for the section. So we knew it was an important game coming out last weekend and tonight.
Coach Fallon, this is Coach Marone. Congratulations on the win, and you're doing a great job there at South. My question was, your guys' girls program is also very successful as well. Do you find that it kind of feeds off each other, and that success and that winning attitude can kind of work across both programs, because you've got two great basketball programs there at South?
Thank you very much. Yeah, I do believe so. You know, and our community is a big supporter of basketball, which helps a lot, you know, and these kids grow up and, you know, playing year-round and stuff like that. But, you know, I have a daughter on the girls' team, so that kind of helps me out with the girls. So it's pretty neat seeing both sides of it. You know, today it was kind of neat watching film, and then my wife texted me constantly about the girls' game. So that was kind of neat in that part of it. But I know, you know, our boys get along with the girls. It's not one of those things where each program's jealous of each other. You know, we work together, and both teams, you know, want to win state championships.
Well, Coach, I have to ask this question. Your daughter's team playing in Myrtle Beach right now, picked up a win there today. You were in Charleston. It's below 30 degrees right now in the Charleston area. It's a little chilly down at the beach now. I mean, it's only 46 at Myrtle Beach right now. But I think, how did this happen? I mean, she came out ahead there, I would think.
Yes, she did. You know, and they texted me a picture earlier on the bus riding home, and they're sitting outside eating ice cream. And, it looks like it's going to snow here, so it's pretty neat. You know, and I'm proud of her and proud of them to be able to do that. That's a great opportunity for those girls, and you know, they've earned it coming up through and everything, and look really proud of them.
Well, Coach, and this is this is more of a parenting question in a way. How difficult is it? You have a responsibility as the head boys basketball coach at Parkersburg South while your daughter is on the girls basketball team at the same time.
Yeah, you know, and that's where having a great wife and great family pays off, because my kids know that, you know, the basketball team, for me, they know that's probably the priority right now with that, and they, you know, she doesn't get upset when I don't come to games, or she knows I support her 1,000%, and there's times you'd like to get to more games. I even have a son in 8th grade who plays, and so it's really tough trying to get to place, but they understand, and that's the best part about it. I have a super family.
Well, Coach, congratulations on your team's win. Congratulations as well on your daughter's team's win. And just so you know, it's supposed to be 50 and rainy at the beach tomorrow. So it's not. They're probably not going to be able to rub it in your face quite so much.
They still got 3 more days though.
There's plenty of time left.
Coach Mike Fowler of the Parkersburg South Patriots. Thanks so much, and again, congratulations on your second win over Brooke in as many weeks.
Thank you very much.
All right, we look forward to hearing from him every week as well. Right now, we're going to step aside and take a break. When we come back, we'll talk with Adam Marco. He had the call of Charleston Catholic and Wesley Christian Kentucky. That was a very good basketball game. We'll talk about that one as well and get another check of the scoreboard when basketball Friday night in West Virginia continues on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, all of them, visit basketballnight.com. Basketballnight.com. We've got all the scores every day. Comcast viewers on Channel 25, sorry about no audio again. We'll try to get that fixed for you next Friday. Also, you can check us out if you are a Comcast Channel 25. You can catch us on Armstrong Cable, Channel 204, Digital 204. Again, Comcast Channel 25, no audio again tonight. Sorry about that. If you're listening on radio, you can hear us on 106.7 FM, WHFI in Linside, 101.9 FM, WVOW in Logan, 90.7 FM, WFGH Fort Gay, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM, WQAZ out of Edmond and Beckley. 101.7 FM, WIAP LP Clay, 88.1 FM, WMUL in Huntington. Online, you can watch us at basketballnight.com. You can listen online too. Go to basketballnight.com and you can click on Listen Live. You can also go to rsnsports.com and see our video stream. Go to basketballnight.com. We want you to be part of our poll question. Every week we got a new question. You can still vote tonight. Which is more beneficial to a team toward making it to Charleston? An easy beginning of the schedule, but a tough finish, or a tough start of the season with an easier ending. Go online at basketballnight.com. Be part of the poll. We want to know what you think about it. Thank you for tweeting us tonight and being part of the show. Follow us at hoops_roundup.
Yeah, we got a Bo Miller.
Celebrating high school basketball around the Mountain State, you're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, James Collier, Rudy Raines, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
10:31 on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, Rick Marone, and James Collier with you, and we're going to go right back to the phone lines in just a moment. Adam Marco's been holding so patiently. We'll talk with him about the Wesley Christian Charleston Catholic game. We'll also talk with Bo Miller, the head coach of the Spring Valley girls basketball team. But before we do that, Coach Rick Marone has another check of the basketballnight.com scoreboard.
Looking for scores? Look no more. The basketballnight.com scoreboard coming at you full speed and in fourth gear. It's in Class AAA boys. South Charleston Black Eagles 80, Oak Hill 48, Washington 65, James Wood Colonels 47. Hedgesville Eagles fall tonight to the Woodgrove Wolverines out of Purcellville, Virginia, 55-50. That's at the Spring Mills tournament tonight. Also in AAA, Riverside falls to Wheeling Park. Wheeling Park 55, Riverside 51. Parkersburg South 68, Brooke 41. The second victory over the Bruins for Coach Fallon and the Patriots tonight. Also tonight in AAA, the Chavez Eagles 65, Martinsburg 54. George Washington Patriots 57, St. Albans 48. Jefferson gets a big win over Broadford and Christian Academy, 85-34 in the Jefferson Mixer. Union Local Jets 84, John Marshall 40, Nitro 69, Point Pleasant 50. All these are final scores. Winfield 63, Ripley 53. Shady Spring gets a 7-point win over Liberty Raleigh, 49-42 in the Liberty Raleigh tournament. Berkeley Springs, the Indians fall to the Spring Mills Cardinals, 81-36. Let's move to Class AA. Bluefield Class AA, but Capital Class AAA gets a 60-48 win over the Bluefield Beavers in the Bluefield Christmas Tournament. Ho, ho, ho on that one as they fall 60-48. Westside 102, Man 79. Independence 95, Mount View 74. In Class AA, Narrows, Virginia falls to James Monroe 58-49. Pikeview 75. Giles County out of Pearlsburg, Virginia 75-59. Pikeview gets the victory. Nicholas County falls by 1 point to Midland Trail. The Patriots get a 61-60 victory. One overtime. Riverview 72, Van 62. That's a final. Richwood 49, Summers County 42. Indian Creek, Ohio 54. Weir, the Red Riders 33. They fall by 21. In Class A, St. Joe gets a 63-48 win over Chesapeake, Ohio. Greater Beckley Christian 82. Parkersburg Catholic 43. Valley Fayette, the 7th-ranked Greyhounds, get a 49-42 win over Sherman. Charleston Catholic falls 56-53 to Wesley Christian Academy. Pendleton County 59. The Wildcats defeat Buffalo 59-44. Meadow Bridge 49. Greenbrier West, the Cavaliers 35. Madonna 63. Steubenville, Ohio 49. Williamstown gets a hard-fought 55-53 win over St. Mary's. And Racine Southern 59. Wahama 57. That's a final in boys basketball. Let's move to the girls slate in Class AAA, a big-time matchup. Number 1, Morgantown wins in overtime 67-60 over Logan at Willie Akers Arena tonight. Parkersburg South in balmy Myrtle Beach gets a 54-50 win over Fayetteville, Georgia. Big win there, big game for Anna Hayton and Taryn McCutcheon for the Lady Patriots. The George Washington Patriots fall to Spring Valley. The 5th-ranked Timberwolves 57-42 winners over George Washington. Greenbrier East 61, Jefferson 51. Lewis County 41, Preston 39. Lincoln County, a big win over Point Pleasant. The Panthers 75, the Big Blacks 29. In Class AA, number 1 Fairmont Senior rolls over Philip Barber 86-36. Also in AA, Summers County, the Bobcats 65, Clay County 44. That part of the Hoops Classic at the Charleston Civic Center. Also in AA, Coach Josh Blow, his Kaiser Tornadoes 62-56 for Frankfort. They get a big win in the Mineral Bowl girls basketball edition. The Scott Skyhawks go on the road and get a 57-53 win at Wayne tonight. Pikeview 78. The Graham G-Men out of Bluefield, Virginia 48. Also in Class AA, East Fairmont upsets Robert C. Byrd 48-43. Herbert Hoover slips by Buffalo 87-18, the final in that one. James Monroe 63, Allegheny Mountaineers out of Covington, Virginia 54. The Petersburg Vikings tip off their own tournament with a 71-45 win over Moorfield. Also in Class AA, Webster County, 2 overtimes. They defeat Fayetteville 72-70. And also in Class Single A, crossing over into AA, Sissonville, a big win over Charleston Catholic 56-50. The big win part there, Madison Jones 38 points at the Civic Center for Sissonville and Rich Skeens as they get a win against Charleston Catholic. Pendleton County 70, Bath County, Virginia 27. 75-37 Pocahontas County over Richwood. And our final score on the board, Wood County Christian 59, Elk Valley Christian 44. That's your basketballnight.com scoreboard update.
Thank you very much, Coach Marone. Let's go back to the phone lines to Adam Marco, voice of the Charleston Catholic Fighting Irish. They fall tonight 58-55 to Wesley Christian. Outstanding ball game tonight, though, Adam.
I'll tell you, it actually was. And when you look at the roster for Wesley Christian, and I know you guys have heard about them before, it was their blue team, their basically AAU national, I could be a collegiate player right now kind of squad. 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" guys. Charleston Catholic's tallest player is 6'4". You're watching them dunk in pregame warm-ups, and you're thinking, can they break the rim so this game doesn't happen? You know, you don't want it to be on Yahoo tomorrow as a story about look at the poor sportsmanship. But I am so impressed with the way the Irish played tonight. It was, I think, a shock to both sets of fans down at Wesley Christian. The Irish had the lead by 1 after the first quarter. It was tied at 26 at the half, 39s at the end of 3. And ultimately, in the final minute, Charleston Catholic had the basketball. With 16 seconds to go, there was a stoppage in play. The Irish maintained possession. They had a shot at what could have been the winner. Roger Burdett misses underneath. Wesley Christian takes it back the other way, gets a 2-pointer as the time expires, and that's how it turned out to be a 3-point game. I think most Irish fans thought that game was going to be over, like the JV game was 3 seconds into the first quarter. An impressive effort. You know, the Wesley Christian is a very gifted, athletic team, undisciplined, and maybe that is their only fault in how some teams have been able to hang with them. But, you know, the Irish are young. They're undersized, especially in that kind of matchup, but an impressive performance even in a loss.
Adam, James Collier, first off, thanks for joining us on the show. When you see a team like Charleston Catholic, like you said tonight, you walk in and it's tough to pass the eyeball test when you look across the court and you see what's happening. But then to see the final result and it be such a close loss that they come away with, what does that say about what this team has to offer? And does that send a message across the state of this is a team, it doesn't matter who's on the other side of the court, it's going to stand up and go toe-to-toe with its opponent?
Now, I think Matt Morrison, in his first year at the helm of this program, this was a game that he can build off of and learn from, and it says to his team they can play with anybody in the state. You know, whether that holds true over the course of a season, time will tell. But when you're playing sophomores and juniors, and you think about what the Charleston Catholic roster lost between Nick George and Garrett McCarty alone, not to mention 3 other seniors, I think a lot of people would write off Charleston Catholic this year. I'm not sure, you know, I think they need a performance against one of the top teams in the state of West Virginia, but this will open some eyes, and it proves that they can run with a lot of people, they can defend, they find a game plan, they did tonight, how to handle an excessively athletic team in Wesley Christian.
So Wesley Christian gets the win, 58-55 over Charleston Catholic. The Irish will be back in action on Tuesday at home against Gilmer County, and then a game coming up on the 27th. That would be next Saturday at home against Wahama. Adam Marco, voice of the Irish, thanks for joining us.
It was my pleasure, and I have to hang up now so I can go follow you guys on Twitter.
All right, yes, please do. We're almost to 1,000.
Yeah, we're trying to get to 1,000. We would greatly appreciate that, Adam.
I was going to hold out to be number 1,000, but I'm going to start the ball moving as soon as I hang up the phone.
But why do I not see that will be you? You'll be the guy that's going from 998, 999, 998, 999, trying to make 1,000.
It's possible. I make no guarantees, but I will follow you guys as soon as we hang up with this call.
Thanks, Adam.
All right, thanks very much. Adam Marco, voice of the Charleston Catholic Irish, as they fall tonight to Wesley Christian out of Kentucky. Spring Valley girls victorious today. Bo Miller, head coach of the Timberwolves, joins us now. And, Coach, high expectations there this season for that ball club, and so far your Lady Wolves living up to them.
Well, we better play better than we did tonight.
I'm sure you'll still take a 57-42 win over George Washington. That's still a traditionally pretty good Patriots program, and yeah, maybe you would like to run it out a little bit more, be able to, but still a solid 15-point win.
It's solid. We played all right. We missed a lot of easy shots, and our rebounding is still a little to be desired.
Coach, what do you have to take away from this team? You have a lot of the senior leadership there, but on the backside of that, you're having to turn to sophomores and freshmen to step up and provide those valuable minutes that maybe they're not ready for yet. But how much has that helped already this season in 2 quick games out to get that opportunity to get those players out on the court?
I think we went 10 deep in the first half today, and that is a great experience for our younger girls, and it proves to the older girls if they're not playing, they can be replaced this year.
Coming up with you got another game Tuesday night at home, and then you head on the road down to Tennessee for the tournament down there with Land Air. How important is it to try to get some of these bugs worked out, and as you said, get some of those faces off the bench and on the court before you head down to that tournament, which you're going to play 3-4 games in about 3-4 days?
Yeah, it's big for us to get out and to get a good start to the season. Not just one game. We got to get a good start and start believing in ourselves. And we're playing without one of our leaders
and hopefully she'll come back here in the next week or so and give us a big spark.
I'm just going to ask about Madison Morris. How far away is she right now?
I'd say she was ready to go tonight, but we're going to take it, another week, see how she's doing, and I'd say within the next week or two she'll be playing all the time.
Coach Miller, Coach Marone here. Congratulations on your win. You mentioned some of the mix there where you've got younger players and older players. I know as you look down your schedule, you don't really dodge anybody. When you think about going out of conference and playing Ashland, Kentucky, of course, in conference, you got South Charleston, Huntington. You've got a lot of quality teams, not to mention the competition you'll see in Tennessee. Do you take the approach? We talked with Coach Lance Sutherland, the boys coach at Hurricane earlier, and he tries to really schedule up out of conference as tough as possible to try and get ready for conference play and ultimately for tournament time. Is that pretty much the approach you take as well?
I would actually like to schedule more games out of conference to play better competition some nights, and the better the competition, the better I think it'll make you.
Coach Bo Miller, your team gets the win tonight, and now the Spring Valley Lady Wolves will get right back into the thick of things coming up here in a couple. You got about a week off, is that correct?
No, we got a game Tuesday night against
we'll
Capital.
Tuesday night.
Capital.
We'll play Tuesday at Capital, or home at Capital's at our place Tuesday night.
Gotcha. Okay. Just got to keep my schedule up to date here because sometimes things get a little.
Well, Spring Valley's on schedule revision about 5 or 6 by now.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, it can always change.
I think Coach just goes to the gym, and if there's a game and somebody else shows up, they play.
I told him, I said, quit scheduling
practice.
people to show up and play somebody. There's always somebody who wants a game.
Coach Bo Miller, Spring Valley. Thanks for joining us tonight, Coach.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, we're going to step aside and take a break. When we come back, the return of one of our favorite segments.
God help us.
Yes, you'll want to stick around for that. We didn't have him last week, but we've got him this week, and we'll have him next when Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia continues here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
You're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Thanks for being part of the Basketball Friday Night family. Big shout out to Examiner Sports, Coach Eddie, 1023 The Ticket, Whit Keedle, Tyler Canterbury, JB, Tim Stevens, Walking Shoes, Josh King, Greater Beckley, In Every Game, Jim Wilson, and Hawks Nest. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. James's big target tonight is he wants to break 1,000 followers on Twitter. We're getting close. Follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Go to our landing page, basketballnight.com. You can find out all the ways you can connect with us, but one of the things we want you to do tonight is vote. Our poll question: which is more beneficial to a team toward making it to Charleston? An easy beginning of the schedule, but a tough finish, or a tough start of the season with an easier ending? Make your vote count. Let us know what you think. Tonight, at the end of the show, we'll tell you what the results are and what the new question will be. We want you to become part of the show. Go to our landing page, basketballnight.com, basketballnight.com. You can call, tweet, text, and email. Join us on the phone and share your team's game. Call toll-free 1-855-345-4709, 855-345-4709. Follow us @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Basketball Friday Night.
Celebrating high school basketball around the Mountain State, you're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to your hosts, James Collier, Rudy Raines, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
10:48 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, this December 19th, 2014. Hey, we've only got one more show this year.
That's scary.
Yeah. We Coach Marone and I were talking a little bit before the show. there might not be that many games next week. We've already run across enough games next week to definitely put the show on for the post-Christmas spectacular.
Oh, we'll have the post-Christmas spectacular without a doubt. I mean, anytime we have Rick Marone in studio, it's a spectacular event anyways.
On a lot of fronts, but we won't get to that. If they only knew what went on behind the scenes.
Oh, no, let's not do that now. That would give away the luxury of what we do here.
Yeah, we definitely want to keep the magic. The magic of Christmas and the magic of radio and, in this case, also television as well, and our web stream also on basketballnight.com. One of our favorite segments from last year was checking in with our resident referee, Bo Anderson. We didn't get him last week, but, you know what that means. We've got Bo on the phone. Bo Anderson, welcome to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Well, thank you, guys. I didn't realize it started last week, and then I saw where it was last week, and I thought maybe Marone had fired me for making a bad interpretation.
Hey, they cut me too, Bo. I wasn't here either. I think they tried not to tell us.
Well, you know what? Officials are the last people that are thought of, so, I just felt like I was on the bottom of the barrel, and that's just the way it goes.
Well, Bo, happy to have you back. And I guess the very first thing we can lead off with you for this season, any points of emphasis this year?
Well, yeah, obviously the new rule with the release on the free throw where the 6 players in the mark lane spaces can come in on the release is the new rule of the game. That's the main rule. And then the other thing, and so far in the games I've worked, I think the coaches have done a good job of coaching this, is the new definition for hand checking or defending the dribbler. It's now a pretty clear rule where if you put a hand on and leave it, if you put an arm bar on them, if you continuously touch them, or if you continuously change hands while touching the dribbler, you have a foul. And I think that the players are starting to pick it up and understand it. I think the coaches have, from what I've had so far, have been doing a good job of teaching it. And, the freedom of movement is, it's necessary in order for a player to be able to get to the basket anyway. So, for the most part, I think those are the two main things that players are either starting to understand, or if they're not, they need to understand.
Bo, you talk about players needing to understand this new rule, and one of the other things, too, I believe that goes with that is, can the players still use the arm bar in the paint until the basketball arrives? And then the other side, how many free throws a night are you having to issue while these players try to work through these changes, as now we're about a month into high school basketball?
Well, I've only had maybe one game or so where they didn't quite get it, and that game was quite a bit, there was quite a few foul shots shot in that game, including some other activities that happened in that game. But now in the post, you still, displacement is the key to making any kind of call, especially away from the ball, because as the rule states, you are entitled to that spot on the floor as long as you got there first. And so, if you're on that spot and somebody arm bars you off of the spot, or just rides you out with a knee off the spot, then, you have to have a foul. And anytime somebody puts two hands on somebody, that's a foul, because, if I can guard you, heck, even Rick Marone can guard somebody if he puts two hands on them. So, anytime you have those opportunities to take advantage of the situation, you've got to have a whistle.
Has it limited what players can do, especially when you're playing zone defense, when you're trying to hedge those guys shooting across the baseline? Has it limited on that to where players are not wanting to make contact with those players, worrying about picking up that cheap foul?
Well, I think they're trying to do what, as most coaches try to teach anyway, is move your feet and keep your hands off. I mean, defense is played with your feet, and and anytime you put hands on somebody, you can guide them around quite a bit. And, as well as, everybody teaches pretty much, if you give up the end line on a defensive play, somebody goes by you and you put a hip into them or you put two hands on them, you got a foul. I think they're trying to play a little bit more with their feet than their hands now, and I think they're being taught that. And I think if not, after a few whistles are blowing on you, you need to adjust. And, if you don't, the thing about it when I'm refereeing, if a player fouls out with 5 fouls, he's going to be out, and I'm still going to be on the floor refereeing, so it don't make any difference to me.
You don't have a limit for fouls. You can call as many as you want.
I can vouch for that. He has no limit for fouls.
Limit. I wish there were some nights he did.
But, it is what it is on that, and we just have to, if we do it early, then later on it stops. And I think even though the NCAA's rules are different, I think that, you stall towards the end of the NCAA when you watch games, that those guys had adjusted to the new rules of the game, and you didn't have a whole lot of that there either. But, it's really always been a rule. It's just not been defined as well, and I think this is to help everybody understand when we should blow the whistle and when we should pass on it.
Well, Bo, I know you're in your position. You're officiating the game, but from your standpoint, are you seeing this as a long-term kind of freeing up of the game a little bit, allowing for more movement, allowing for better offensive opportunities because of these rules?
Yes, I think that's geared towards that. And in case you guys don't know, really, the people who do the rules or want the new rules called, all those points of emphasis and stuff that we get in the officials, the officials manual and the rule book are things that come from the coaches. The coaches are the ones that pretty much, we get to fill out a little survey sometimes about some changes, but the coaches are the ones who really have the emphasis on the rules. And so when you see the points of emphasis and you see this play, that's something that the coaches as a whole want. And, I think it is. They're trying to give this, the offensive players, a little better chance to get to the rim. If they're quicker than the defensive player, then, we shouldn't allow that defensive player to stick an arm out and stop them or to put two hands on them and just bump them out of their way a little bit, especially when they're on their way to the basket.
Well, Bo, we've talked about everything on the court. Now let's talk about some situations that officials have to kind of oversee now off the court, and that's over at the broadcast table. Have you had any instances or any new issues with the new rules and regulations about the PA announcers, and are you required to have to kind of oversee those new rules and make sure to enforce them if said rules are broken?
Well, what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to talk to the athletic directors about those situations. I can tell you right now that every game I've been to, none of them done it right yet. And, what we try to do is, we just try to tell the athletic directors, especially the first time, most of your announcers have been announcing for 30 years, 25 years. Rarely do I see a new announcer when I go into a gym. It's usually someone that we're used to, and they're like us. They're human, and they're used to announcing stuff that they've always announced. And it's going to be tough for a while for those guys to get used to it being the other way. But what I've done so far is I've talked to the athletic directors, and that's another thing. Announcers and bookkeepers and clock keepers, they don't have a clinic. They don't get a rule book. They don't get a packet of the rules or of the new rules. And so, therefore, most of them probably don't even know. And I'd be willing to bet that there's 1 out of 100, maybe, athletic directors have sit down and went over with the announcer what they're not allowed to say. So, you can't blame those guys. Most of them have been pretty good, and most of them you can talk to. But what we're supposed to do is talk to the athletic director and and then if we have to, if it gets bad enough, we would have to send a special report in. I can tell you a little one that I know about in a game that I wasn't involved in, but one of the things that probably brought this up is a situation where there was a game where a team was stalling and delaying, and it was like 8-6 in the fourth quarter, and the team is still delaying, and all of a sudden the announcer, while this team is holding the ball, says, well, while there's a break in the action, the hot dogs are on sale for 50 cents, and the Dr. Pepper's a quarter, and that kind of got that team mad. And, it can be understandable. I mean, you can't take away from a coach's game plan. If that's the way it's going to be, that's just it. But, that's what I want to do is we want to go to the ADs and talk to the ADs about it, and hopefully it'll get fixed. But this is going to be something that takes a little while to get done.
Well, Bo Anderson, we always appreciate hearing from you, and definitely appreciate you taking the time out to join us and answer a couple of those questions. And, people may not think that there are enough things to talk about with an official 15, 16 different times a year. They're wrong. We haven't hit the same thing twice yet.
If they think that there's not enough to talk with an official, they've never met Bo Anderson.
Well, guys, I help teach the class, and the class is a 39-hour class. Me and my other officiating partner, Lou, teach the class together, and it's a 39-hour course. And I always don't feel comfortable that I've covered everything, even though I go completely through the rule book and through the officials manual. There's nothing easy about it, and a lot of people that take the class, they have no idea, and they're in amazement whenever we get finished of what they really didn't know about the game of basketball. And, that brings me to a thing before, I know you guys need to move on, but anybody who's interested in the class, once again, and I said it last year, you need to contact the WVSSAC office and find out who is teaching the class in your area that you live in, and that number 304-485-5494. And we had 8 guys in the class this year, and to give you an example, one of the guys in the class he's bought his uniform, he had everything ready to go, and now he's not going to be able to work because he got a truck driving job, and therefore it's putting him on the road. So he spent all that money for that stuff, and he's not going to work the first day. So, we teach 8. Now we're down to 7. And, we're lucky if we get 1 or 2 people out of 8 or 10 to stay for more than a year. And it's very tough. So, I encourage anybody who would like to really learn the game instead of going by the fans manual to come out and give it a try.
Well, that's Bo Anderson, our resident referee. We can't play without him. Definitely appreciate him joining us tonight, and look forward to hearing from him most every week possible here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. We've got to step aside and take a break. When we come back, we'll have a scoreboard update, and we'll hear from our buddy Wolfpack Willie down in Mingo County. He's got some scores for us from down there as well, as Basketball Friday Night continues here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, all of them, join us online, basketballnight.com. Thanks for joining us tonight. We appreciate everybody. Want to go to our website, check out our poll question. Your vote counts, and we want to know what you've got to say. Our poll question: which is more beneficial to a team toward making it to Charleston? You can select an easy beginning of the schedule, but a tough finish, or a tough start for the season with an easier ending. Tonight, at the end of the show, we'll let you know what the results are and what the new poll question will be for next week. Once again, you're listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on great radio stations throughout West Virginia. 106.7 FM, WHFI Linside, 101.9 FM, WVOW Logan, 90.7 FM, WFGH Fort Gay, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZ-LP, Edmond, Beckley. 101.7 FM WYAP-LP, Clay. 88.1 FM WMUL in Huntington. Online video is available at basketballnight.com and rsnsports.com. We're also on Armstrong Cable Digital Channel 204, Comcast Channel 25. Once again, you can view our online HD video at basketballnight.com. Go to our website. Make sure you are part of the results in the poll question tonight. basketballfridaynight.com.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to Basketball Night in West Virginia with James Collier, Rudy Raines, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
In West Virginia, 11:04 p.m. 1 hour to go here on the program. James, they just keep flying right along.
Yeah, it doesn't slow down. It was I stepped off for a break just a moment ago, and I was headed down, and I was like, oh, 10:30. Oh, pizza. Don't forget pizza.
Right.
We need pizza.
We need food,
Yeah,
yes.
because we get cut off at 11. So, and now here we are in the 11 o'clock hour, and we're dwindling away, and we still have a lot of callers that are lined up. We'll have Madison Jones coming in this segment as well, talking about that 38-point performance and the win over Clay County earlier today. And
Charleston Catholic. They beat Charleston.
Charleston Catholic. Excuse me, Charleston Catholic. But yeah, so big win for that team today, and so a lot of that, and also still the pursuit of 1,000 followers before we finish out the show tonight. We're checking that. Let's see. How close are we,
Ryan?
Right?
The latest update here at Hoops_Roundup. We are at 978.
We need a push.
22 away. 22 to go. At Hoops_Roundup. Again, you can follow us. We get all the scores from across the state of West Virginia. And of course, we appreciate James Barker for sending in that question, too, about the new public address rules. We'll talk more about that maybe a little bit later on in this program as well. But right now, you don't want to hear a public address announcer. You don't want to hear me really right now. You want to hear James because James has the latest check with the basketballnight.com scoreboard.
Your one-stop shop for all things high school basketball in the state of West Virginia. Go to basketballnight.com. Let's start on the girls' side of things. We had a March Madness preview, and it's only mid-December. We'll start in AAA. Number 1 Morgantown goes on the road to number 6 Logan and walks out with a 67-60 victory in overtime. Parkersburg South down in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, in the Crestcom Bank Holiday Invitational, 54-50 win over Fayette County, Georgia, and a Hayton 16.7 rebounds. Tara McCutcheon, 10.6 assists, knocks down 6 out of 6 free throw attempts in the final 2 minutes. Number 5 Spring Valley over George Washington by 15, 57-42. It was Greenbrier East past Jefferson by 10, 61-51. Lewis County over Preston by 2, 41-39. Lincoln County no problem with Point Pleasant, 75-29. In AA, Fairmont Senior, the Polar Bears ice over the Colds of Philip Barber, 86-36. Another overtime contest, this one against Westside, as the Renegades fall to the Hornets out of Magoffin County, Kentucky, 64-60, your final. Summers County victorious over Clay County, 65-44. Brittany Justice, Whitney Justice combined 46 points and 20 rebounds in the game up in Charleston. It was the Kaiser Golden Tornado. The Falcons can't fly away from the Tornadoes, 62-56. Falcons fall in AA action. It was Scott over Wayne, 57-53. Pikeview over the Graham G-Men out of Bluefield, Virginia, 78-48. Bridgeport eases past Liberty Harrison, 77-17. A 5-point win for the Bees out of East Fairmont over the Eagles of Robert C. Byrd, 48-43. Herbert Hoover over Buffalo, 87-18. James Monroe gets past Allegheny Mountaineers out of Covington, Virginia, 63-54. It was Petersburg tipping off with a win in its home classic tournament, 71-45 over Moorfield. Roane County over South Harrison 59-20. A double overtime matchup for Webster County to get past Fayetteville. 72-70 your final. In Class Single A, 56-50 the final as Sissonville knocks off Single A number 4 Charleston Catholic. Madison Jones 38 points. We'll hear from her in just a little bit. Gilmer County passed Doddridge County 72-47. That's in the Doddridge tournament. Another matchup and the Petersburg tip-off. Pendleton County eases past Bath County out of Hot Springs, Virginia, 70-24. Pocahontas County over Richwood. The Lumberjacks fall like a dead piece of wood, 75-37. Tygarts Valley gets past Union, 50-48. And Wood County over Elk Valley, 59-44. Let's check the boys' scores. We'll start as well in Class Single A. Number 2 South Charleston passed Oak Hill 82-48 up in the Charleston Civic Center. Washington picks up its first win of the season with a 65-47 win over James Wood out of Virginia. A 5-point win for Woodgrove out of Purcellville, Virginia, as they knock off the number 5 team in Class AAA, Hedgesville, 55-50 in the Spring Mills tournament. Number 5 Wheeling Park, a 4-point win over Riverside. Phil Bledsoe, 24 points, 19 rebounds. Josh Carpenter nets 29 in the losing effort. Park South, no problem with Brook, 68-41. Chavez out of Washington, D.C. knocks off number 10 Martinsburg, 65-54 in the Jefferson Mixer. Parkersburg, 78-50 win over Cabell Midland. George Washington gets past St. Albans, 57-48. It's Jefferson with an 85-34 win in the Jefferson Mixer over Broadfording Christian Academy. The Union Local Jets out of Belmont, Ohio, with an 84-40 win over John Marshall. Nitro defeats Point Pleasant 69-50. It was a 10-point win for Winfield over Ripley, 63-53. Liberty Spring, a 7-point win over Liberty Raleigh, or check out Shady Spring, 49-42. That's in the Liberty Raleigh tournament. Spring Mills eases past Berkeley Springs, 81-36. In Class AA, Capital knocks off number 3 AA Bluefield, 60-48 in the Bluefield Christmas tournament. It was West Side all over Man, 102-79. Independence eases past Mountain View, 95-74 in the Liberty Raleigh tournament. 2 games from Narrows, Virginia, as Narrows falls to James Monroe, 58-49. And Pikeview gets past Giles County, 75-59. A 1-point win for the Patriots of Midland Trail over the Grizzlies of Nicholas County, 61-60. Another overtime in Riverview, 72-62 win over the Van Bulldogs. Roane County eases past South Harrison, 66-47. A game that was 19-13 at the half, as told by Dave Morrison. Richwood, a 7-point win over Summers County, 49-42. Indian Creek, 54, Weir 33. Class Single A, all games are finals. St. Joe gets past Chesapeake, 63-48. Greater Beckley Christian, no problem with Parkersburg Catholic, 82-43. Valley Fayette, 49. Sherman, 42. A 3-point win for Wesley Christian over Charleston Catholic, 56-53. Pendleton, 15-point win over Buffalo, 59-44. Meadow Bridge, 49. Greenbrier West, 35. 100 Hornets sting the Montcalm Generals, 59-52. The Blue Dons of Madonna over Steubenville out of Ohio, 63-49. Williamstown, 2-point win over St. Mary's, 55-53. It was River Pilots out of Hannibal, Ohio over Valley Wetzel, 72-50. And our final score, Racine Southern Ohio, the Tornadoes knock off the Falcons, 59-57. That's your check of your basketballnight.com scoreboard update.
We're missing one boys' score in West Virginia tonight. It's the Hannon Regional Christian game. We'd like to get that one. We're just missing a handful of girls' scores. And, again, we know some of these schedules sometimes get a little bit changed. It's hard to keep up with. But we're trying to find Spring Mills and Elkins, Shady Spring, Oak Hill. We're all scheduled tonight. Ritchie County, Notre Dame, Riverview, Van, girls basketball. We're looking for that one as well. Also, Clay Battelle, Trinity Christian, Harmon, and Paul Paul played tonight in Harmon. We would definitely like to get a score of that Panthers versus Pirates game And I believe 100 and Montcalm, we're going to play a girls' game as well. We know the Tyler Consolidated Work County game was canceled because of flu in Tyler County. Let's go back to the phone lines. Wolfpack Willie has been kind enough to stick around with us and hang on hold for the last about 15 minutes, and he joins us now. Wolfpack Willie, how you doing tonight?
Pretty good.
Basketball season in full swing. Best time of year, right?
Yes, it is. Oh, yes. I'm going to talk about some records and some games coming up for Tug Valley boys and girls, Mingo boys and girls, and the records.
All right, let's go right ahead.
Okay, Tug Valley boys is 1-1. They play tomorrow night. Host Shogun Park at Naugatuck, 7:30. Then Monday night, they host Notre Dame at Naugatuck. Then the girls is 3-3. They don't play till January the 2nd at Cross Lanes. Then Mingo boys is 2-1. They play tomorrow night at 6:30 against Bridgeport. And after Christmas, they play in Greenbrier tournament up in Greenbrier. And Mingo girls is 3-1, and they play tomorrow night at 7:30 against Polka at home.
Wolfpack Willie always keeps us up to date on everything in Mingo County, and of course a lot of good basketball down there. And we appreciate you calling in, Wolfpack
yes.
Willie, and we always appreciate you listening
Okay.
as well.
Okay.
All right, you have a good weekend. And guys, just looking back through the scores here, and again, if you want to give us a call, 1-855-345-4709. I've got to go to break, but first I just want to say real fast, something that caught my attention there going through the scores is that if you'll remember last year, we were able to get some of those private schools that are not a part of the WVSSAC, because it's not all about the public schools that play and the private schools that play in the SSAC. We also like to get those scores from those schools that don't get a lot of coverage. I'm talking like your Ohio Valley Christians, Elk Valley Christian, Wood County Christian. We had the Wood County Christian score where they beat Elk Valley tonight in girls basketball, 59-44. We don't want to ignore them. Their biggest part of this is anybody else. So definitely, if you know a score on that, you can always tweet us at hoops_roundup or give us a call. Again, our phone number is 1-855-345-4709. We'll be back with more of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia right after this on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
High school basketball action in West Virginia is heating up as teams focus on a trip to the state championship in Charleston. Stay up to date with your local team and its progress all season long with Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. For 3 hours every Friday night from 9 to midnight, we're here with all the scores. Visit us online at basketballnight.com. Listen online or on great radio stations throughout the Mountain State. Your local station not carrying Basketball Friday Night? Call them up and tell them you want them to carry the show. You'll hear sports writers, broadcasters, coaches, players, and your calls recapping your team's game. Visit basketballnight.com for more details on how you can become part of the show. Follow us on Twitter tonight. We're trying to get to 1,000 Twitter followers. @hoops_roundup. @hoops_roundup. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, your one-stop shop for all things in West Virginia high school basketball. Tonight, we thank all the people, our affiliates, all of our followers that make Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia possible. Become part of the show. Go to basketballnight.com. You can call, tweet, text, and email. Join us on the phone and share your team's game. Call toll-free 1-855-345-4709. 855-345-4709. Once again, you can follow us on Twitter @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Go to our landing page anytime to find out how to connect with us. and to find the latest scores every day of the week. BasketballNight.com.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to Basketball Night in West Virginia with James Collier, Rudy Raines, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
118. We've never been on the air at that time.
Man, I don't know that we could go 118. We may have to go to satellite radio if we do that.
Yeah, we will need some help on that. 11:18 on this Basketball Friday night in West Virginia.
Basketball Night After Dark. Isn't that one of the online shows?
Oh, we just made a new program.
There you go.
You're going to have to host that one, though.
The after show? No, I don't know.
I want no part of that. I want my pizza and I want to go to bed.
Right. I definitely want to get a bite of that pumpkin roll out there, too.
If there's any left, I should have grabbed us
Guys,
some.
it has been done damage. Damage has been done to the pumpkin roll. They were down to taking ties. They had no knife. So they went with the ties, and they're cutting slices.
Hey, in this business, you learn to adapt and overcome.
True story.
Hey, I don't think people listen to find out about our food situation. But again, it's a 3-hour-long program, and that's a long time for us to go without eating. But anyway, nonetheless, we're here on Basketball Friday night in West Virginia. We're happy to have you along. Again, if you want to call in, the number 1-855-345-4709. You can always tweet us at @hoops_roundup. Also, you can reach us on our website, basketballnight.com. It has all the information there. It also has the scoreboard that's up to date as well. Speaking of scoring, Madison Jones lit it up for Sissonville in the Indians' win over Charleston Catholic today. She had 38 points in that victory, and she joins us now. And Madison, great ball game today, and a nice win for your ball club.
Thank you.
Coming in against a team in Charleston Catholic who has the pedigree in Class Single A of being a contender year in, year out. That game played in the Charleston Civic Center Coliseum. I know you're in different classifications, but that may have had a little bit of a state tournament feel to it. It might not have had the crowd that you get to the state tournament, but still the level of competition and playing on the big floor in Charleston.
Yeah, it was a fun game, and I don't know if you know it, but we actually, a lot of our players play soccer too, and so do theirs, and we actually met up in the regionals, and they beat us, so that was a competitive game for us as well.
Does that add a little bit to those games when you're so familiar with someone else and it goes over several, multiple sports in this situation?
Yeah, I think it makes the situation a lot more competitive and exciting to play in.
Madison, congratulations on the win, and for you, a 38-point performance. Was it something that it was kind of just scattered out through all 4 quarters, or did you get into a rhythm early, late, mid-quarter, or mid part of the game that allowed you to start adding up those points so quickly?
Yeah, I don't know. I really can't even remember. I mean, it must have been scattered. I don't even remember scoring half of them. After the game, my coach told me that she thought I was close to 40, and I didn't even realize it.
Well, sometimes you get, I guess, when you get in a rhythm. I say I guess because I never actually got in one myself when I played, so I have to go by what other people say. I guess you just kind of you sort of go numb to the situation. You just play, and when things are going well, yeah. I guess that's just you just kind of play, and things fall into place for you a little bit sometimes.
Yeah, I'll have to agree on that one.
Yeah, like I said, I had to go to somebody who's actually done that because I didn't. And Coach Marone, I'll bring you in here. Sissonville's a good ball club, fellow Cardinal Conference member, a team that was really good last year, and a team that appears to be really good again this year.
Yeah, very good. And Madison, I know you and Carly have kind of been the dynamic duo, and I know she's coming back from an injury. So did you feel maybe compelled to have to do a little more to put up 38 out of 56 points is a tremendous effort, but I know she's been trying to get back into the lineup, but did you feel maybe a little urgency to maybe try and do a little more offensively?
Oh, yeah. definitely. I mean, Carly's a great player, and having her out really hurts us. Hopefully we'll get her back soon, and we'll come back a better team.
Well, this is a ball club that is still a pretty young basketball team. There are just 2 seniors on the squad this year, and getting that taste of Charleston last year and really making a nice run. Just tell me about coming back from that this year and now, back into the flow of things. Again, it is a new season. You have to start new, but at the same time, it has to give you a lot of confidence coming into this year as well.
Yeah. I mean, going to Charleston was a blast, and of course we want to go back again. And I think losing in that state championship game has really showed us that it's not easy, and we have to go out and work hard at it.
Madison, as you talked about, and Coach Marone brought it up, you have a player that is trying to return from an injury, and you see the start that this team is having. How beneficial is it that you have someone that is trying to rehab themselves back and that's going to be able to produce, but you're getting other production from the team, especially with you talking about wanting to make another run deep into Charleston? How much does that help knowing that there's help coming? You guys just have to keep the pieces together until she gets there.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing. I mean, it's a bad situation having Carly out, but I guess you can look at it a good way because it's making other people on our team step up, and hopefully in the long run it'll help us become better.
You have a game coming up at Ravenswood next week, and kind of get into the Christmas break a little bit. I'm sure that's not a bad thing, getting off from school, but kind of get to focus on just basketball for a few days, I guess.
Yeah, that should be fun. I always enjoy that.
I don't think I've ever met a high school student, and when I was in high school, the same thing as well, that didn't like the breaks of any kind.
Well, Madison, let me ask you this question. How much different is it as a student athlete when you have those breaks to where you're not trying to shuffle between doing everything of the student side and then the athlete side? You just get to focus on being an athlete over the next 2 weeks. How much does that allow you to really go back and focus on, say, the fundamentals of the game or things that you want to try to learn to do better and not have to balance that student side while you're doing so?
Yeah, I think without school, like you were saying on break, I think it just makes it easier for you to, mentally to focus in on practice and the games. It gives you more time to work if you want to.
Madison, one other thing, you all have been so successful in soccer, for instance, and in other sports, and softball is very strong there too, as well as volleyball. How do you think that it really benefits? I know a lot of times players don't play across sports like you all do, and you all have had state titles in soccer, and you've been to the state finals in basketball, and I'm all for that. I think that there's a lot to be gained from that, and I think that the winning attitude that you all take to all the sports you participate in really shows across all of your school sports. Do you feel that, and do you see that as you participate in various sports, and that you kind of build up each other?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you can tell as a school that, once, the state tournament is, it's more like a community event. Everybody enjoys it, and once everybody sees one team go there, I think in the back of their mind they're thinking that they want to be there too. So, yeah, I think it definitely fuels other teams to do better as well.
And that's one last point I want to touch on. And Coach Marone has mentioned just the overall athletics. This is not anything new at Sissonville, especially with the girls programs. They've been strong across the board for more than a decade, and you can go back 15 years even with the softball program as well. That has to be a good youth program in there as well. How important are the youth programs at Sissonville in developing the girls athletes especially to have success at the high school level across multiple sports?
Yeah, I think development of youth is really important. That's where you get your fundamentals and everything. Me and the rest of the juniors were lucky enough to have my dad and Carly's dad to coach us a lot, so they helped us a lot in basketball and the rest of the sports.
Madison Jones, 38 points today in Sissonville's 56-50 win over Class A number 4 Charleston Catholic. Congratulations on that win, and we appreciate you joining us tonight here on Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Thanks.
All right, that's Madison Jones, and we wish her the best of luck as she and her teammates try to get back to Charleston after making it a year ago and falling by 10 to Westside. Of course, if you remember last year, too, their run in Charleston was impressive because that was a team that was good. I mean, 23-4, wasn't like they were sneaking up on people, but I don't think a lot of people realized that was a team that was capable of making it to the state championship game and being very competitive in that game until the end.
Yeah, they really got on a roll at the right time, Ryan, and a lot of firepower there. 2/3 of kind of the three-headed monster are back. They're both juniors. Brittany Gould graduated off that team. Of course, she had 20 points in that state final out of 32, that inside presence. But with Pinkerton and Jones putting up those numbers, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with once again.
So the Sissonville Lady Indians, they get that win. Sissonville beating Charleston Catholic earlier today by 6 at the Charleston Civic Center Coliseum. We'll step aside and take a break and be back with more Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
There's no place better to be than right here for basketball. High school basketball, that is. It's Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Follow us on Twitter at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. Tweet us with your team scores and updates, or follow our collection of scores throughout the night on Twitter, or go to our scoreboard. Check it out at basketballnight.com/scoreboard. basketballnight.com/scoreboard. Become part of the show. Join us tonight, and hey, check out our poll question. You've got a few minutes to answer this week's question, then we'll post the results, tell you about it, and have a new question at the end of the show tonight. Which is more beneficial to a team toward making it to Charleston? An easy beginning of the schedule, but a tough finish, or tough start of the season with an easier ending. Check it out at basketballnight.com, our homepage. Over on the right-hand side, vote in the poll. Big thank you tonight to Coach Rick Marone, who took pity on the crew as they were starved to death last Friday by our director, and he brought in a pumpkin roll. And Husson's Pizza. They're feeding us, and that's just great. Thanks again to all the people that have been tweeting us and become part of the show, including the West Virginia Turkey Thug, Andrew Clay, Bill Clamp, Michael Minich, Matt Jones, Jeff Wright, SV Wolfpack, Rob Metzger, Mark Cook, Jake Flatley. We appreciate you following us on Twitter and becoming part of Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. It's all here just for you.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to Basketball Night in West Virginia with James Collier, Rudy Raines, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
It is 11:32 on this Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Just 28 more minutes to go before we hit midnight and the conclusion of this week's edition of the program. Of course, if you want to call in, our phone number 1-855-345-4709. I want to give the results of the poll question we put on basketballnight.com last week. Our question was, which is more beneficial to a team toward making it to Charleston? Easy beginning of the schedule, but tough finish, or tough start to the season with an easier ending. Well, the final poll results, 61% say easy beginning of the schedule, the tough finish. Coach Marone, does that catch you off guard?
It really is a little bit surprising, to be honest with you. I know Coach Sutherland from Hurricane talked about really beefing up that non-conference schedule. I think a lot of it has to do with what type of ball club you have. Do you have a younger team? You're trying to find some combinations. And, James, you don't want to destroy confidence early, but if you have a veteran team like he has at Hurricane, hey, bring it on from day one, and I think it really depends on your personnel.
Well, and that's the thing is that they got close. They came up just so short against Huntington last year in that state finals. And if I'm Coach Sutherland and I've got that team returning, put me in the gauntlet. I want to run every team. I'm like Coach Miller, is he talking about earlier in the program. I'm out on the court just trying to find somebody that can play, and sometimes that may be teams away from the conference to find the competition I'm looking for. And you're seeing a lot of teams that are doing that. If they have that senior-laden team, or they've got a lot of juniors and seniors that's been in that program, you don't see those easy victories. You see those grind-out tournaments and a lot of big tournaments that you may play teams like the Myrtle Beaches, like the Tennessees, that you go and you're going to play some of the better teams from the southeastern area. You want to see what you can do away from here, because you know what you can do from here. And the other side of that, too, is you go away from here and you can start showing some of that stuff that maybe you wouldn't show until February, and nobody's really going to see it because you're not going to see any of that on the film. And that's another thing you have to think about, is you don't want to show your hand early on in the season.
Yeah, I tell you what, different styles of play is always an advantage, and you get so familiar with conference opponents. Many times they're in your sectional. I know there's a lot of regions and conferences that have sectional opponents that see each other 3 or 4 times a year. And I think of a team like Logan's girls team. They go out, they're not in a conference, but they go and play a Morgantown team, a home-and-home matchup. What a great rivalry there, 2 top programs, and a team that they might meet in Charleston. But still yet, right out of the blocks, Coach Gertz, he played earlier this year, he played Boyd County. I got to see that game in the Rio Grande shootout, so he doesn't dodge anybody either.
And, hey, there's so much girls basketball talent. We talked about this ad nauseum last week, and it's playing out. You're seeing a lot of these girls that are stepping up and making waves early on in this season. Now, normally we would do a scoreboard. Right now, we're not going to do that right now, though, and I'll tell you why. We have had so many games tonight, and we just want to hold off just a little bit. We'll get you a scoreboard update in our next segment, but we want you to stay here with us right now, because we just want to talk a little bit of basketball for a little bit about these teams and talk about some of the things that we're seeing tonight. We talked about Washington coming back and being James Wood out of Virginia, boys basketball here after Washington struggled last week. A team that we haven't really talked about today, and that's because they'll be in action in the Hoops Classic tomorrow on the boys' side in Class AA. Fairmont Senior, that might be the most impressive team to this point in the season, and of course they're going to have a good Cardinal Conference opponent tomorrow in that Big Ten Cardinal Conference.
Yeah, we talked about them last week, Ryan, and it's one of those teams of you like to see the growth from one year to the next, and could this be the year that they step up and say it's our turn? We're going to take the state by storm, and it's so many different things. You see some teams that are doing what you expect. Jefferson falls tonight, but had a quick start to the season. Its first 2 games out, puts 100 each on its opponents. Falls tonight in a loss, but the other side of that, you look at what Washington did. It took 4 games in for Washington to get a victory, and that's up in the Eastern Panhandle, the northern tip of the state. And Rick, you go back to that and you start seeing what's happening up that way. But you start sending a little bit of cold chills down some of the teams down in the lower part of the state, saying, hey, there may be a chance to run with these guys.
Well, I'll tell you what, just to focus on Fairmont Senior that we talked about a little bit earlier, 4-0 right now. And, Ryan, I think a huge matchup with Chapmanville tomorrow. I think if folks want to see, to me, I don't want to call them dark horses, because Chapmanville, of course, made a maiden voyage, if you will, to the Civic Center for the state term as well. But look at Fairmont's next schedule. They've got Chapmanville, they got RCB, they got Bluefield, Wyoming East, North Marion. You talk about a gauntlet that James mentioned. You want to see what they're made of. It's going to happen pretty quickly, and it's in December, believe it or not. I think that we will really know, is this Fairmont team for real? Right now they look really like a contender, but I think the next 3 or 4 games is really going to set the table for the Polar Bears.
I think what's interesting, too, and this may play a little bit of a part of it, may not, but the Armory in Fairmont was just refurbished. And now you've got a team in there that's just been rolling through opponents, especially teams that have come in there. Sometimes when you shine up the place a little bit, you play a little bit better there.
Well, I'll tell you, we've experienced that as well. We have a new floor. I mean, basically, our floor has been completely refurbished, repainted. It's original. I mean, it looks awesome. And you were there when the school just opened, and it brings excitement. I mean, it just brings they feel good about what they're doing. The locker rooms are getting a facelift. You want to have good facilities. And James, I agree with Ryan. I think that those things do make a difference, and it does add a little skip in your step. And I think Fairmont may be reaping the benefits of that there at the Armory.
Well, and you take the difference between dial back 25 years ago and the way things are now. 25 years ago, all you cared about is you had a pair of sneakers and a ball to go play and somebody on the court that you could line up against. Now it's all about sex appeal. It's about that what really catches the eye, and it's how many nice jerseys do we have? Do we have the nice tall socks? Do we have the shiny floor? Does the arena, does it have a great sound system? Does it really pop? And you take all of those things and you start to add it together, and you add that element to, well, if a player maybe is kind of borderline of whether it wants to come out, well, they come out because they look cool. And don't forget, they're a pretty daggone good athlete as well. Well, that betters the whole program because, as we've seen throughout all programs, winning is contagious. You see what's going on at Hurricane right now. That's a program nobody wants a part of. If you want to deal with a program that is winning, Hurricane ran through the baseball state championship last year, and Coach Sutherland talked about JT. He looked like he was just out throwing a backyard bullpen in that championship game, and in the semifinals when he pitched. It was just another day at the office. And when you get kids like that it's contagious all the way through every program that's there, you're building a championship school. And it all starts with, like what you said, you start shining things up a little bit and giving kids the pride to have for what they're working for. They're going to give you more on and off the field.
Well, now, you're competing with a lot of things. And you talked about 25 years ago. I mean, most time, and Ryan can tell you, there's a few places that still have that special thing. I think of Wayne's football program. I think of other places around the state where it's an event. You go to Logan Fieldhouse, to Willie Acres Arena. It's an event. But I'm telling you what, you're competing with a lot of things. If you'd ever told me 20 years ago when I started coaching that we would have a spotlight, we would have the sound system, we'd have the show. I mean, we do that, and people enjoy that, and they come out, and we do things during halftime and time. I mean, it has to be an event, because when you bring a family out, I mean, just to be honest, when you got boys and girls games, and this was talked about when the seasons changed, I'm aging myself back in the mid-'90s, you bring a family of 4 out and want to come to a ball game, and you're shelling out $4 or $5 to get through the gate. You're buying concessions, and I mean, it's got to be for your entertainment value. And I mean, it's not that we're in a business by any stretch, but I'm saying that you're competing with a lot of things. And if you want the kids out and you want them to be a part of it, you got to make them feel good about being part of it, because people want to come to things that are a positive, and it can be football, basketball, whatever. And if you miss that, I think you're missing the boat. And I think we have to wrap our arms around the whole thing and make it a good experience, family friendly, fan friendly. The student sections are awesome. I know a lot of times there's on our Twitter line, they're back and forth on the student sections. That's what high school sports is about. Getting on that shirt and going out. And Coach Gertz was calling for a blackout at Logan tonight for them. For Morgantown, he said, I don't care what's on the shirt, hopefully nothing inappropriate, but he said, get a black T-shirt, show our girls that you're going to support. He was trying to fill the Willie Acres Arena up for that girls' game, and I would venture to say they probably had a huge crowd down there.
Brian, this is something you and I talked about last week. One of the greatest things about going to Charleston during the state tournament is seeing those student sections, and especially when they put them on each end of the court behind the baskets. And in that second half, I mean, you wear those teams out, and it's fun to watch these, because there's some of the student sections, they go back and forth before the opening tip-off, and they never stop.
And a lot of times you can also tell where basketball is I won't say a priority, because it's not necessarily just about, it's not sports specific, but you see schools that get support from their students, from their communities. It really shows up in Charleston. And sometimes you'll get a team that will come in from the Eastern Panhandle who has to drive 4 or 5 hours to get to Charleston, and their student section will be full. whereas sometimes schools that are closer to Charleston,
who will remain nameless, some of whom
have the word Charleston in them and don't have as many people show up.
Yeah, I tell you, it's a community thing. I think you're exactly right, and I think you have to cultivate that. And it's not all about winning. I mean, winning obviously breeds people want to be a part of it, but I think if you have something that is from the grassroots up, people are a part of it, then you get that community support. And you're exactly right. Some of the closer teams have the least following, and you scratch your head, and it's like, why isn't this place full? But it's very unique, and those places that have it, it's special, and sometimes it's there and then sometimes it's not. I mean, but you really have to cultivate it.
Well, and Rick, you talk about that, but is it one of the things, is it safe to say that they maybe don't show up for because they're so accustomed to getting that each and every night? So the event at Charleston or some of these tournaments, maybe it's not such a big event for them to where you have teams that travel 4 or 5 hours away. It is a special event because they don't get stuff like that.
I don't know. I'll tell you the one, and to me they're the bell cow of boys basketball, and there's actually two of them, but the one, Woodrow Wilson. I mean, to me, that tradition, and I mean that basketball, they bring the house. When they're in Charleston, it's an event. And then Beckley's not that far down the road from Charleston, but yet they have something special, and it's been cultivated. Hankton High is the defending AAA champion. And just be honest about it. I mean, there's been times the following hasn't been there, until maybe this will spark that. But I think it all mends together. But I think there's places where it's special, and you can change that. But I think we could sit here and talk about the ones that do bring the house.
I'll tell you, I remember just within the past 15 years going to Charleston when Greenbrier East girls were just getting there for the first time becoming regulars there. They brought the entire school with them. And it was impressive, that wall of green and yellow. And I remember that specifically. There have been other schools, obviously, that do a fantastic job as well. And, yeah, the community events, making a high school sporting event a community event, I think it's beneficial long-term for the community itself in so many ways. It does so much good. But anyway, off my high horse, we'll step aside, take a break. We'll come back. We'll get a final check of the scoreboard, and we'll get the wording for your poll question as well for next week as Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia continues here on the Fast Break Sports Network.
Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia will return in 2 minutes on the Fast Break Sports Network.
For scores online, all of them, visit basketballnight.com. Basketballnight.com. You can submit scores to us in a multiple ways. Check it out, basketballnight.com. You can submit it online there. There's a little form you can fill out and send it to us. You can tweet us at @hoops_roundup, @hoops_roundup. You can send it to us by email, scores@basketballnight.com, scores@basketballnight.com. You can call us. We'll be more than happy to take your score by phone. And thank you for everyone who's helped us out tonight and all week with all the scores around the state. Visit the scoreboard, basketballnight.com/scoreboard, and it will have the scores for the games, boys and girls, all around the state. Thanks to our affiliates tonight, 106.7 FM WHFI in Linside, 101.9 FM WVOW in Logan, 90.7 FM WFGH Fort Gay, 98.5 FM and 101.5 FM WQAZ LP Edmond Beckley, 101.7 FM WYAP Clay, and 88.1 FM WMUL in Huntington. Also, thank you to RSN Sports for carrying our video. You can watch our video online at basketballnight.com or rsnsports.com. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. All things high school basketball in West Virginia all the time. Check out our website anytime.
This is high school basketball's home for the Mountain State. Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia on the Fast Break Sports Network. Now, back to basketball night in West Virginia with James Collier, Rudy Raines, Coach Rick Marone, and Ryan Epling.
11:48 on this basketball Friday night in West Virginia. Ryan Epling, James Collier, Rick Marone with you. Happy to have you as we wind things down on the second show of the season. We know you're here because you want scores, and let's get to the scoreboard. Coach Marone's going to lead us off with the boys' scoreboard.
Looking for scores? Look no more. TheBasketballNight.com. The scoreboard, you can find it on our website, and we're going to update it for you right now. All these are final scores. Class AAA, South Charleston 80, Oak Hill 48, Washington 65, James Wood out of Winchester, Virginia 47, Hedgesville falls to Woodgrove out of Purcell, Virginia 55-50, Wheeling Park 55, Riverside 51. That's part of the Hoops Classic at the Charleston Civic Center. Park South 68, Brook 41, Chavez Eagles 65, Martinsburg 54. That's part of the Jefferson Mixer. Cabell Midland falls to Parkersburg 78-50. George Washington 57, St. Albans 48, Jefferson 85, Broadford Christian 34, Union Local out of Belmont, Ohio 84, John Marshall 40, Nitro 69, Point Pleasant 50, Winfield defeats Ripley 63-33, Shady Spring 49, Liberty Raleigh 42, Berkeley Springs falls to Spring Mills 81 for Spring Mills, 36 for Berkeley Springs. Capital takes down Bluefield 60-48. In Class AA, Westside rolls up 102, Man 79. Independence defeats Mount View 95-74. James Monroe knocks off Narrows, Virginia 58-49. Pikeview 75. Giles County out of Pearlsburg, Virginia 59. Nicholas County falls to Midland Trail 61-60 over Nicholas County. Riverview 72-62 over Van in overtime. Roane County 66, South Harrison 47. 49-42 Richwood over Summers County. Indian Creek, Ohio 54, Weir 33. Class A, St. Joe 63, Chesapeake, Ohio 48. Greater Beckley Christian 82-43 winners over Parkersburg Catholic. Valley Fayette 49, Sherman 42. Charleston Catholic falls to Wesley Christian out of Allen, Kentucky 56-53. Pendleton County 59, Buffalo 44. Meadow Bridge 49, Greenbrier West 35. The 100 Hornets get a big win 59-52 over Montcalm. 63-49 Madonna over Steubenville, Ohio. Williamstown knocks off St. Mary's 55-53. The River Pilots, nickname of the night, out of Hannibal, Ohio 72. Valley Wetzel 50. Wahama falls to Racine Southern. The Tornadoes 59-57 winners. And Wood County Christian 63, Elk Valley Christian 24. James, you got to look at the girls' scores.
We'll start in Class AAA. Number 1 Morgantown over number 6 Logan 67-60 in overtime. It was Park South over Fayette County, Georgia in the Myrtle Beach Classic 54-50. George Washington falls to number 5 Spring Valley 57-42. Greenbrier East over Jefferson 61-51. It was Spring Mills over Elkins 58-35. Lewis County defeats Preston 41-39. Lincoln County over Point Pleasant 75-29. In Class AA, Fairmont Senior no problem with Philip Barber 86-36. Overtime in Westside as Magoffin County, Kentucky knocks off Westside 64-60. It was Summers County over Clay County 65-44 up in the Charleston Civic Center earlier today. Number 6 Kaiser over Frankfort 62-56 in the Mineral Bowl Girls Edition. Scott over Wayne 57-53. It was Pikeview over Graham out of Virginia 78-48. Bridgeport 77, Liberty Harrison 17. East Fairmont a 5-point win over Robert C. Byrd 48-43. An 87-18 victory for Herbert Hoover over Buffalo. James Monroe 63, Allegheny out of Virginia 54. Petersburg wins in the tip-off classic 71-45 over Moorfield. Notre Dame gets past Ritchie County in the Doddridge tournament 47-35. It was Riverview over Van 61-27. Roane County over South Harrison 59-20. Double overtime in Fayetteville as Webster County gets past the Pirates 72-70. Class Single A, it was Sissonville with the upset over number 4 Charleston Catholic 56-50. Madison Jones with 38 points in the Charleston Civic Center. Number 9 Gilmer County over Doddridge County in the Doddridge tournament 72-47. The Seabees of Clay Battelle over Trinity Christian 70-62. Paw Paw gets a win over Harmon 48-36. My boy Ryan is very happy. Montcalm over 100 43-23. In the Petersburg tip-off, Pendleton County over Bath County, Virginia, 70-27. Pocahontas County over Richwood, 75-37. It was Tigers Valley defeating Union, 55-48. And our final score of the night, Wood County, 59, Elk Valley, 44. Don't forget, follow us at hoops_roundup, because in about 4 minutes, you'll get every score of the night as we'll tweet it out, just like we do every single night. Basketballnight.com, your scoreboard update.
We're at 979 followers. We once again want to give a congratulations to our first standout athlete of the week. That's Mackenzie Barker, senior guard at Clay County High School on the girls basketball team. She's the first recipient of that. Of course, visit basketballnight.com to get more information on nominations, and we'll do that every week throughout the remainder of the season. So we want to go back to the phones. We got Braxton Crisp with us from Detroit tonight. Braxton, how's the Motor City? Braxton? You know,
See, they try to mix stuff up on us this week, and it just doesn't work.
You know, he goes to Detroit, and for whatever reason.
Well, I'll tell you the reason.
Well, yeah. Well,
I probably shouldn't, but I will. But I won't.
Yeah, not to say anything bad, but I do remember Braxton tweeting about being at his first ever shootout in Detroit, and I went, I know you're at a hockey game, but that could be taken so many different ways.
Yeah, that was so bad when he saw. I said that, and I just shook my head. I went, man, you could do so much with that tweet and have so much fun with it. The beautiful world of social media. So, all right, I think we got it.
Braxton, are you there with us now?
Yes, I'm talking to you now. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes. Hello, Braxton.
Awesome. Okay. So it's quite chilly up here in Michigan. No white snow, thank goodness, because it would surely just stick to the ground and not come off for quite some time. But it does get really cold here, and I'm not liking that. I'm also not liking no Husson's Pizza tonight. That's kind of breaking my heart a little bit.
Well, we miss you, Braxton. We'll think of you while we're eating the pizza here after a while.
Yeah, we'll eat a slice of pizza for you.
In your honor.
Actually, earlier, I think in the first hour, when Rick Marone called me the Inspector Clouseau of basketball night, I sent him a text and said, I need to work on my French accent. And I'll be quite honest, I was looking for scores the whole time and never really worked on my French accent.
Oui.
Well, yeah. Hey, you did a fantastic job, though, because let's say I know it's you and a cast of 100 or so, it seems like, that are involved with it behind the scenes. We got just about every score tonight. We were only missing one or so. And
hey, we got your your Harmon Pawpaw score.
You know, and I talked to Braxton about this earlier today. I have a Paw Paw Pirates shirt at home, and if it ever gets above 50 degrees on a basketball Friday night, I will wear the shirt, but only for a segment, because you got to understand, this studio is cold.
I was going to say, it may get 50 degrees outside. I don't know if it'll ever make 50 in the studio.
I may have to break out an Under Armour cold gear shirt underneath it.
We can hang meat in this place.
Yeah. But nonetheless, so Braxton, we were talking about our poll question, and we've had a little back and forth because we've had three really good ideas for poll questions. The one that we're going to go with, though, is one that we talked about with Bo Anderson about the new guidelines for public address announcing that came out this year for basketball. It wasn't across the board in other sports, only in basketball. And the National Federation came out and basically decided to really put a limit on what is supposed to be said over the public address system. And we've been working on the wording for a poll question, and I guess we think that perhaps are the new rules that are more stringent on public address announcing for basketball necessary?
Right. What I've got here, sorry, I'm trying to fight off some of this cold that's up here in Michigan, but what I've got here is talking about how the way the PA announcers have to do their jobs. And as a former PA announcer, going back to my days at Cabell Midland High School, it really pains me that PA announcers in basketball are so limited now. And actually, I sent a text to your director, Marcus Constantino. I said, well, with these new rules, you might as well have Siri doing PA for the games now, so to not show any bias. But do you think it's good? It helps the fairness of the game to where the PA announcer cannot announce team fouls, personal fouls, time left in the ball game, or give any preference with vocal inflections or anything like that? Or do you think that hurts the basketball game environment? And that poll will go live just in about 2 minutes on basketballnight.com. You can vote all the way through 11:45 next Friday night.
So there you go. There's your poll question on Basketball Friday Night on basketballnight.com. As a public address announcer, I understand the bias situation. I don't have a problem with trying to limit that, but I also think that when you can't announce a personal foul and a team foul, and that's a little out of control. But we'll get clarifications on all that, and we'll definitely have that poll question up on the website. Guys, final thoughts from Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia, week number 2. We'll start with James.
Great week. A lot of scores, all of those getting ready to go out. Be sure to follow us, hoops_roundup, basketballnight.com.
Coach
Mark. Great to be back in the studio with you. Appreciate Lance back there, too, in the studio with Marcus and the guys. Great job tonight, guys.
So for everyone involved, I'm Ryan Epling. Good night, everybody, from Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia.
Thank you for listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. Tune in next Friday for the latest high school basketball action from across the Mountain State. Visit our website at basketballnight.com to find out how you can stay connected with us throughout the week. Until next time, have a great weekend, and thank you for listening to Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia. The preceding broadcast is a presentation of the Fast Break Sports Network. Copyright 2014. All rights reserved.